Look, before we kick off, quick one for anyone who has said, right, this is the year, more times than they want to admit. New Year's resolutions, eh? Well, Power B is a full meal replacement shake exclusively from Nature B. It's not a snack. It's not a gimmick. It is an actual meal. It's the only shake in Australia with Nature B's Power Pollen built in, plus grass-fed whey protein and probiotics for gut health. Now, 2 shakes a day alongside a balanced diet and exercise, and it's as simple as that. Grab the intro pack for $39.95 at natureb.com. And if you grab a couple of the other goodies and spend over $79.90 before January 30, you go into the draw to win that fantastic $20,000 worth of luxury travel. Plus, if it's not for you, well, there's a 100% money-back guarantee. Follow the links in the description or head to natureb.com.
In a world where voices are silenced, one man refuses to lie down.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
He's been punted not once.
40 years they've been trying.
Not twice.
You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job.
But 3 times.
You're fired.
He doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you something to think about. Welcome to the Bonafide podcast with Luke Bonar. And he's not.
All right, here we go.
Done.
Hold your ears, folks.
Yet.
It's showtime.
Well, g'day, hello, and welcome to episode, we think, 77, because Kelsey lost count about 10 episodes ago. So we're calling it 77. Didn't we have a listener once who actually corrected you? Someone out there,
yeah.
Someone out there actually counted.
Yeah. I've been corrected a couple of times, but now we have Thomas Denham, the wonderful Tom Denham. He's going to help me keep track. So, and he's actually on the line.
He's actually with us
Tom.
here in the studio this morning via the link. Thomas, for my Triple M listeners, will know Thomas produced me for a long time on the Triple M network. And now, because he's absolutely desperate, he's decided to help us with the podcast, and we're very, very lucky to have him. So, Tom, train boy, how are you?
Hello, Luke. Hello, Kelsey. How are you? Good to be here.
There's actually some exciting train news. Tom, do you want to give us an update?
What?
Well, my phone exploded for the last 24 hours. I'm allowed to talk about it now. Let me indulge for a moment, Luke.
We love trains here. Don't worry.
Thomas is train mad.
Actually, there's another one, but we'll touch on that. But I guess the one that's relevant to me is that Thomas the Tank Engine has revealed its new look. They're reviving it with a new TV show that's dropping autumn this year, which is exciting. So I've been under an NDA for the last 2 years. I haven't been able to talk about it, but now that I can, so it's out in the world now, which is great. And my 6-year-old inner child is humming with that delight, that old theme tune we all know.
He's a fanatic. He watches them. He travels on them. He's just obsessed with trains, but I particularly old steam trains. Am I right?
You're absolutely right, Luke. I think there's something very timeless and charming about them. But it's interesting, we talk about trains, and I bring this back to Australia. Do you remember Timbertown in Warhope, Luke?
Oh, sounds familiar.
Yeah. Rings a bell.
That closed down. This has been recorded on the 29th of January. That closed down for the last time yesterday. It was an old kind of ye olde town. You could go there and pan for gold, but they had old buildings, horses and carts, steam trains. It was a kind of step back into yesteryear. I never went, but I saw some pictures and some footage of it, and it looks like a good family day out.
I guess there's no money in it anymore.
It's fascinating that I think my question to you, Luke, do you think it's important that we preserve these little kind of slices of history past in Australia?
Oh, yeah. And we've demolished so many things, and the things that have stayed are absolutely priceless. They do cost a lot of money. And so if they get National Heritage listing, they do get government help. For example, I'm not into trains like you are, but I love the old Art Deco cinemas, and they knocked a lot of them down. Now, the Collaroy down the road here is an Art Deco cinema, and of course, one
Smells
of the best.
like it.
Oh, it's
stinky.
It really is.
Smells like mothballs.
I know, but what about the Orpheum at Mossman? Beautiful, and it was put back together by Mike Walsh, who bought it many years ago. Mike Walsh, formerly from the Midday Show, and it's such a shame that we let these things go. But no, I'm absolutely 100%. I do have a little bit of train history, Thomas. I may not have told you about.
Oh, go on.
Well, when I went to boarding school at Chevalier in Bowral, the way we used to get this is the only part of Harry Potter that I really relate to. The boarding school.
Yeah.
Because I went to a boarding school.
Yeah.
But they caught a train to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, we used to catch the Cooma Mail. Now, it wasn't an old steam train. It was once, but it was very old, and it had the individual dog boxes where you could slide the door closed. It had a canister of heated oil that was under the seats because it got very, very cold. It had a beautiful flask of water with paper cups either side for the guests, and it was just charming. I also remember getting up to mischief, a lot of mischief on the Cooma Mail.
Yeah.
Especially when the girls from Frensham at Mittagong and the girls from Dominican Convent from
glory
Mossvale,
days.
they used to catch the same train. And it was a lot of fun.
I'm not surprised.
I can
It was a
imagine.
lot of fun.
For you,
Because they're all off to boarding school. So they've said goodbye to their parents back at Central. And we've said goodbye to our parents at Central. And here we all are. Hormones are racing.
You can imagine the rest.
And we're on the Cooma
we
Mail.
don't need more details than that. I think you've painted a nice picture.
And it used to have a sign saying, please don't use the WC. You know what a WC is?
Yeah, it's a wash closet.
Water closet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, while train is at the station. Because it just used to drop out.
Yeah.
So we'd all save it up for the station.
Nice.
And try and drop a beauty.
Okay, that's
right
enough.
there. Stratfield, Bargo, Campbelltown. I used to know every train station on the way to Bowral.
Yep.
And we'd all wait until the train stopped at the station. Then, anyway.
Luke, what do we got coming up?
A reminder, a bit of housework. Today is the last day. You can enter the Nature Bee competition. The meal replacement shakes are so good. So enter the competition. You could win a holiday anywhere in the world except North Korea, Iran and Greenland.
And Minnesota.
Yeah. Did you see, there's a meme that someone sent me, your uncle. Thousands of people fleeing Minnesota to Afghanistan to avoid violence. Anyway, coming up, Tech Talk with Trevor Long. Child psychologist Michael Carr-Gregg joins us. Really interesting bloke, Thomas, isn't he?
He really is. And I think he's one of those few child and adolescent psychologists that really has his pulse on what's happening in that kind of part of the world for Australia.
So we'll talk about how the ban on social media with 16 and under Australian kids is working, or isn't it, and a few other things. We're going to introduce to the podcast Professor Simon Jackman. Now, Professor Jackman is a professor of political science at Sydney University. And we'll talk about what's going on in the world, how what's going on in the world will affect us here in Australia. Very sadly, he replaces Dr. Keith Suter, but he is very, very good, tells it like it is. Just like Dr. Keith, you have no idea how he votes. He just tells you what's going on. And I think you'll really enjoy him. He's coming up. And then a bit of fun with the Vice Captain and the Man Cave.
Something to think about. Something to laugh about. That's right.
Let's see what's making news. Well, Australia Day has come and gone, and there is national controversy surrounding a protest act that's got everybody talking, including the Premier of Queensland, David Crucifilli, who says he would encourage and support a federal ban on flag burning. An Australian flag was set on fire at a Brisbane Invasion Day demonstration on Australia Day. The rally, which is one of several nationwide protests, brought together thousands of First Nations people and their allies to protest Australia Day. Now, one protester got an Australian flag and set it on fire, and it's upset a lot of people. Now, funny, one of the most patriotic nations you'll ever visit is the United States of America, where their national anthem's a beauty. It's really stirring stuff, but whenever they hear it, they stand up, they put their right hand on their heart, and yet, in the land of the stars and stripes, it is not illegal to burn an American flag, and plenty of people have tried. In fact, back in the late 1998, 99, the state of Texas said, yep, it's illegal to burn the American flag. It was taken to the Supreme Court and they lost because they said they've got
free speech and it's an act of free speech.
They said it was unconstitutional and it was an act of free speech. So I don't know how this will go in Australia. A lot of people find it very offensive, but the burning of the Australian flag, Millennial, should it be illegal? Just before you give me your answer, it is illegal with a fine of up to $5,000 and up to 2 years in jail to deface or destroy Australian currency, but not the Australian flag.
It's a tricky one because, it is symbolic and, I was reading that it was burnt because they were trying to symbolise that Australia isn't a lawful country. It was taken unlawfully and the First Nations people are still fighting for that recognition. So I can understand both sides of the argument here, and I honestly have not made up my mind yet where I fall. I think making it illegal, we don't have free speech in Australia. It's not a constitutional right, but I do think people have the right to criticise governments and criticise those things. So I think it's just an extension of free speech, but honestly, I haven't made my mind up on it yet. I need to be convinced either way.
Well, okay, I'll ask you that next time we talk. But, the government at the moment trying very hard to pass hate speech laws. Is the burning of an Australian flag hate speech?
Well, if it was, then Pauline Hanson's video would also be hate speech.
Oh, what about that video? Can we just go sideways for a second? Thomas, have you seen the Pauline Hanson video?
Oh, my goodness, it's crazy.
Just for those who don't know what we're talking about, I'll let both of you explain.
So
please explain.
Yeah. So
I had to.
So Pauline Hanson is. Well, it's released now. It had its premiere in Sydney, I think, a couple of days ago. And it is essentially a cartoon, an animated film, and it is called A Very Progressive Movie. And it essentially mocks wokeness and the far left of politics. And to a lot of people, that is hate speech, right? It is purposefully sowing division and, it's not entirely accurate in terms of its representation of the quote-unquote woke because it's Pauline Hanson's interpretation of what woke is, right? So, yeah, it's this is the thing. I'm not necessarily against Pauline Hanson doing this, and she's having her say and she's doing her thing. The challenge comes with should this be allowed to be screened publicly or not? And we've since learned that it has been banned from screening in certain cinemas. So that's where it gets a bit tricky, right? Because then people say, well, you should have the right.
That could make it an even bigger success, though. Once it goes
online,
it goes online, a million more people will watch it because it's banned. You look, the Monty Python crew absolutely are so grateful that Life of Brian was banned in some cinemas in America. It made it even more successful.
Yeah. What's really interesting about this as well, this is a continuation of a series that started in not the last federal election gone, but the one before that when we had Albanese and Scott Morrison going against each other. But what I think the difference is here is it's very clearly satirical and it's one nation's own commentary of what they believe is happening. But what was really interesting when they started doing this series, and they dropped 3 to 4 minute weekly episodes, but it was a little bit of a piss take of kind of what happened in politics that week, and it gained popularity. Remember that whole video that was taking off the Visit Queensland with Robert Irwin that was released last year?
Yeah, that's right.
All
yeah.
part of that series. So it's an ongoing saga from that, and the popularity I think really sprung in that federal election with this series.
What do you ban? Do you ban something
know.
because you don't agree with its ideology? Oh, no, that's hate speech. It's going to incite violence. God, that's a tricky one, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, and this is why it's important that we don't rush through laws about hate speech, because these are all things that will get tainted with the same brush. So it's very difficult to know where the line is there.
Coming back to the flag, it's really interesting that we talk about this, because I think there are select people who are upset about this, but it feels like other people are feeling that like it feels wrong to kind of celebrate what our Australian identity is. But this is controversial, but just putting it out there, imagine the outrage from some people if someone burnt an Aboriginal flag.
Yeah, but it has to do with
good point.
But it has to do with power, though, right? It's got to do with
what
power
about if
and
someone
control.
burnt a rainbow flag?
Yep, an LGBTQI flag.
Yeah, but it's also got to do. You have to acknowledge like the power difference between the two
argue
states.
that in court.
No, but that is an arguable thing in court, though.
Yeah, well, burning flags. And 2 years, up to 2 years jail and a $5,000 fine for defacing currency.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising. Everyone cares about money.
See, if you buy a flag at Woolies or Big W or Kmart or a flag shop, and you own that property, do you own it, and is it yours to burn? See, currency is distributed by the government, by the Reserve Bank and the Mint, and it's actually not your property, even though you earn it. It is. This is. So.
It's a tricky one.
What do you think, listeners? 0291289311. Leave a voice message. Send us an email. Should burning the flag be illegal? Once again, here we are enjoying an Australian summer and bushfires once again raging.
You can probably hear the lawnmower outside. So
do you want to know what's
Apologies
happening?
for
I'm
that.
going bing bong here. Do you want to know what's going on?
What?
This is a little bit of controversy.
Ooh.
This is a little bit of controversy. Thomas.
Is this making headlines in your world, Luke?
In our world, this is a massive headline.
Yeah, okay.
Across, there's a park there, and then all the way down the road, the council, whoever, are building a pedestrian footpath.
Okay.
And there are these beautiful trees. What kind of trees are those, Kelsey? The big ones there. Are they maples or bush box or something?
Are they just gum trees?
They're beautiful trees right near a park, and they provide great shade for the mums and the kids who come to this park. Well, 3 of these trees have got big blue X's on them because they're going to be chopped down to make way for this footpath. So I've taken the dog for a walk this morning and look, it is taped to one of the trees, Kelsey.
So
read that.
A poster is on the tree and it says, "Please leave our tree. Residents of
Whatever.
the street, it provides shade for our playground and a home for nesting owls." Sad.
So there's a big blue cross on this tree. That you can see it's all marked out, and the stop-go people are there. There are trucks. They've done the what do you call it?
Assessment?
The timber board.
Oh, yeah.
What do they call it?
I don't know.
The framing. They've done the framing.
Yeah.
And they were going to pour concrete today, it looks like. But that tree, are they chopping it down? Because
They're literally chopping it down as we speak.
It's going.
It's going.
This is live. This is happening right now.
Yeah, this is live.
No, the one with the note on it is that one near the cubby house.
Yeah.
This is live. This is happening now.
Wow, riveting
I
stuff.
want to see residents come out and chain themselves to the tree.
No, I doubt that will happen.
Oh, come on.
Surely there's a freedom fighter out there.
Well, they felt strongly enough to sticky tape a sign to one of these trees.
Has there been call for a footpath?
God knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no footpath.
You just love the drama, Luke.
I want to see residents come out. I want to see placards.
I want to know, does anybody else have neighbourhood drama they want to share with us?
Pitchforks
and
and
did
fire.
you win? Have you ever strapped yourself to a tree?
Oh,
Or building.
Remember Tiananmen Square and the little Chinese man with his shopping bag in front of the tank?
Oh, yeah.
Now that was impressive, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Whatever happened to him?
well, they kind of censor a lot of the photos from Tiananmen Square, so I don't know.
I went to Tiananmen Square. We're on a tour. It was a listener tour. And I actually said to our tour guide, do we actually know how many people were killed that day in Tiananmen Square? And she said, don't you talk. And she walked away and she said, she got really angry. You cannot ask that. And she kept walking away.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's serious censorship.
You couldn't get the internet there. You can't get Google.
Well, speaking of censorship, TikTok's come under a lot of fire in the last couple of days because anyone who is talking about what's going on in America, the shooting of Alex Preddy, their videos are being blocked. So everyone started noticing that American creators, their videos started glitching, or they wouldn't play. They would play like maybe 10 seconds and then it would start glitching. And funnily enough, this happened, I think, on the day or the day after a new American CEO took over the American TikTok branch. Because remember, that was one of Trump's requirements for allowing TikTok to stay in America. It's come under a lot of fire. Underneath, I kid you not, underneath any American person's videos that were talking about what was happening, it was all glitching and everyone was commenting saying, hey, you're being censored, I can't watch this video. And it was happening, people across the whole world were commenting from Sweden, can't see your video.
The land of free speech,
I know.
Yeah, because when we were in China, we were there when the Melbourne Cup was on, and we couldn't find the winner. We wanted to know who won the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah,
couldn't get it.
Yeah,
couldn't get it. One of our tour rang her son that was in somewhere, Australia or Hong Kong somewhere, and she read it and she wrote it down. We couldn't look it up. Anyway, just back to the fires.
Yes.
So fires are raging, threatening lives and homes right across Victoria as we speak. Can you believe it? Parts of South Australia, the temperature nudged 47 degrees.
Crazy.
49.2 in the hottest place in New South Wales, Boran Downs, which is in the Upper Western District, 49.2. Christ. Question. If you are found deliberately lighting a fire during a fire ban,
straight to jail.
Instant jail?
Yeah.
Instant
you
jail.
have to be prosecuted for that.
Do you get charged with attempted murder?
Oh.
Absolutely. I think
it depends on the circumstances.
If it's done with intention, absolutely. If it's kids playing around, I don't know. But if it's done with intention, absolutely.
What if you flick a lit cigarette butt out the window during a total fire ban? Well, jail?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years, Thomas.
I run a tight ship.
He does. He runs a very tight ship. We got an email from Di, loving the podcast. Even now, my 16-year-old son loves to listen. 16, Kelsey. Our demographic's going down.
Wow.
It's diverse.
Yeah, we'll get banned soon.
No, they make it good.
Well, the government saying, oh, no. People 16 and under can't listen to Boner.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, he's ruining people's minds. Loving the podcast. Even my 16-year-old son loves to listen. He is a swimmer and was devastated when you were kicked from Triple M night shift. We listened every day. What's a 16-year-old swimmer doing listening to me on the night shift, Thomas?
Well, he probably has to get up early
All
to go to
kinds of
swimming
people
practice.
listen to us. Like we had bakers, we had train drivers, we had police, we had security guards.
We had sex workers.
Prostitutes. Yeah, remember the sex worker from Melbourne who called us?
Have you kept that call?
Oh, I hope it's somewhere.
Can you find it? You've got to hear
We'll
this.
see if we can find it.
She ran a brothel and it was fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fascinating. It was actually, if you were in your car, you wouldn't get out until she'd finished the story. It was one of those great spontaneous moments. Anyway, in regards to big things, we were talking about big things, Thomas, before the Christmas holidays. We got the big pineapple, the big banana, the big prawn.
The big Ugg boot.
The big Ugg boot. We want a big jar of Vegemite. In regards to big things, the big mower at Beerwar, Queensland. That's right.
And there's a photo.
Keep doing what you do. We love it, says Di.
And this is a Victor lawnmower and it is massive. I reckon it could be about 7 teenagers tall.
Oh, we love that.
It's unbelievable. Can I just say this? You could house a family of 4 in the grass catcher.
Yeah, you could.
It's that big. Moving on. Kim sent us this message. Check out this music video by a Melbourne band called Play Lunch. It's called Keith. Oh, Thomas, you actually drew my attention to this. Keith featuring Barry Hall as the stars. Is that the footy player?
Yes, so this came as number 4 in the Triple J's Hottest 100. I got to admit, it's the only song I paid attention to because it felt Australian. It was a bunch of Melbourne boys who are living Glen Waverley, and they wanted to evoke the whole Aussie spirit.
Let's have a listen.
There's a man at the Malvern TAB. Shaved head, tatted up, about 6'3". He was our neighbour when we lived on Hotham Street. And though we never got his name, we called him Keith.
We all know a Keith, don't we?
I think that we all know a Keith. Look, I don't know if it deserves to be in the top 100, but I mean, you know, that was back in the day. We would have called that a novelty song, and one of the biggest ever hits in Australia was "Shut Up Your Mouth" by Joe Dolce, which was a novelty song. So, I mean, good luck.
Absolutely.
And we all do know a Keith.
Absolutely. And it feels like a bygone era, so it's nice to see something like that back.
Remember Ostentatious?
Oh, that was
Australiana.
amazing.
Australiana, which was actually written by Billy Birmingham, the 12th man. Billy Birmingham wrote that, but it was Ostentatious. It was his only hit. It wasn't hardly a song, but it was. I think it made number 2 or 3 on the charts.
It garnered attention.
So we got this message from Andrew. He said, I just want to say, if there was going to be an alternative day to Australia Day, you've already come up with it. May 8, Wave Day, a day of mutual respect for anyone who gives a crap about anyone else. Let the wave roll across the country.
Yeah, but that's going to be Thank You Wave Day, not Australia Day.
I know, but he's just saying that we've already chosen a good day.
Are you onto that?
Oh, yeah.
Is it going to be officially recognised?
I don't know. That's your job. You're the one that's got the contacts.
No, it's your job.
No, it's your job. I make the assets. You do the talking.
I've got an idea.
What?
Okay, I'm very good at delegating. Thomas, it's your job to go through the channels, and we want the 8th of May to be official Thank You Wave Day.
We'll make it viral.
We posted on the Facebook page a story about One Nation eyeing the official opposition spot. Here are some comments. Adam said, I'd vote for One Nation any day. But Australia's problem is preferential voting. Get rid of it. Yeah, first past the post. What do you make of it, Thomas? First past the post, get rid of the preferentials.
No.
Yeah, first past the post for me.
Joseph said, although I like Pauline Hanson and some of her ideals are what the average Aussie wants, I don't think she or her team is actually capable of running the country. Time will tell if her party can get the votes to become a major political power. Well, they won't until they have a majority in the House of Representatives. You can't be Prime Minister from the Senate. Actually, constitutionally, you can, but it's an impossible task to do it. Do you know the only Prime Minister that was made Prime Minister while a Senator? Quick. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. John Gorton. Sir John Gorton.
Who would know that?
Sir John Gorton, 1968. Sir John Gorton was elected Prime Minister, but there was a by-election soon after, and he ran for the House of Reps. You can't run the country from the Senate. It's got to be in the House of Reps. I've told you this before. There's 150 seats. You need 76 plus 1 or a majority. So she's got a long way.
There's lots of different opinions out there, Luke.
There are indeed. Listen, we're going to get on with it because this is episode
77.
77.
But you legends stick around. Through Luke's chilly meltdowns and his bulletproof head sound. Rod's yelling about green reflectors. Bill's digging up the dead. And thank fuck for this mad mob who listen instead.
Listeners, it gives me an enormous pleasure to welcome a new member of the Bonafide podcast family. I met this amazing gentleman at Channel 7 on Sunrise, and we've run into each other a couple of times. He is an expert on international affairs and politics. And his name is Professor Simon Jackman. And as I say, a professor of political science, Sydney University. But you should just Google him and wiki him. There's not much he hasn't done and there's not much he doesn't know about. And he has an opinion on everything, which is great. Very sadly, we lost Dr. Keith Suter last year. It's funny, the windows of life just slid. And then I bumped into Professor Simon at Channel 7. And here he is with us on the podcast. So, Professor Simon Jackman, any relation to Hugh?
No, but when I'm in Los Angeles, the answer is always yes. Yeah. Gets me a good table at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then they're very disappointed when I rock up. But,
and don't go to a karaoke bar.
No.
Listen, Professor, there's a lot to get through in a very short time. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you regularly on the podcast because the world is changing every day. And I think my listeners want to know what foreign policy and what goes on around the world, how will it affect us here in Australia? That's a reasonable question to ask, isn't it? But the news today at the recording of today's podcast is Donald Trump. We'll get to Minnesota in a second. I also want to get to why Donald Trump is obsessed with Greenland. But can we talk about today, Donald Trump, once again, is warning that time is running out for Iran. And he says they've got to negotiate a deal on their nuclear program. This comes as there's been for some time now a steady build-up of US military forces in the Gulf. Professor, can you explain what's going on with the United States, Trump, and Iran, and how will it affect us?
Here's the piece of this that might be a little surprising. I think a determination by the United States that Iran not acquire nuclear weapons is not just a Donald Trump idea. That goes back a long way, runs through both Republican and Democratic administrations. I think it's reaching a little bit of a fever pitch as I think Iran more than ever understands the key to its security is actually to acquire a nuclear weapon. And once you've got them, that the threat of retaliation sort of actually enhances your own security in a huge way. So there's a real rush, I think, on the Iranians' part to, if they could possibly get over that hurdle. On the other side, there are these repeatedly, again, for decades, assurances that successive American administrations have made to Israel that they will do everything in their power, to help stabilize the region and give Israel assurances about its security by committing to Iran not getting a nuclear weapon. And the final piece that is specific to Trump, there are two pieces here. One is he hated the Obama-era deal where Iran would voluntarily agree to not proceed towards weapons-grade uranium and a weapons program, and wants his own version of that, number one. And number two is, we're going to talk about perhaps Minnesota later, but I think for Trump it's on to the next thing, particularly after we're recording this in the middle of the week, literally, I'd say within 48 hours of Trump having to, in his own words, de-escalate in Minneapolis. I think for him, a pivot to a domain where he can project strength and command respect on the global stage again. I think he's got a domestic political imperative to really turn up the wick there. This has been a while in the making, though, Luke. It's key to point out there's no surprise here whatsoever. The carrier group, the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Group, left the South China Sea about 10 days ago, 14 days ago. I think everybody has known it. Once he had the assets, the military assets in striking distance of Tehran, we'd get to where the media cycle is today. So it's sort of right on cue, as it were, both politically, both in that sort of long arc dating decades, but also I think in this really just moving the military assets from where they were over in the Pacific Ocean now over into the Persian Gulf region. So cue the music.
Yeah, I'm just a bit confused because he's obviously putting a big stick to Iran over nuclear capacity. And yet, if you'll pardon the pun, one of the biggest loose cannons in the world has got to be North Korea that also has nuclear capacity. What's he doing there?
Well, and there's the difference, Luke, right? One country has already acquired nuclear weapons and can put them on intercontinental ballistic missiles, and one country is yet to. And that's the point. Once you join that nuclear club, any country, even the United States, has to think twice before they bring a big stick to you. And in the Korean Peninsula, it's actually conventional weapons as well. Every military assessment, every military leader I've spoken to tells me it'd be a catastrophe if North Korea sort of felt it was under some sort of existential regime-changing threat. The hair trigger there is a threat to dear leader in North Korea, and Seoul, the capital of South Korea, would face a fearsome bombardment. How would you stop that conflict from going nuclear if the regime in North Korea thought it was in dire peril? Flip the lens back to Iran, which does not yet have nuclear weapons, and that's why I think the imperative is so strong to intervene now, either with regime change or hitting the weapons development labs one more time, whatever it might be, to stop Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon now before they join the North Korea club.
So how will this affect us was the second part of my question.
Yeah, okay. So short answer, not a lot in a direct sense. But, and here's the indirect part, that the thing that bugs the strategic affairs community in Australia, we have an alliance with the United States. It's been the bedrock, or a pillar, if you will, if not the bedrock, of thinking about Australian security since World War II, certainly since the ANZUS Treaty in 1951 or thereabouts. The thing that bugs Canberra is how time and time and time again, despite statements about how important the South China Sea is, about how the Western Pacific is, America's attention, both strategic and tactical, is dragged to the Middle East, where Australia does not have primary strategic interests. Australia's threats to Australian security, threats to Australian prosperity in a direct sense lie in our time zone now. They lie less in what might happen in the Middle East. Of course, disruptions to global oil supplies would be a big deal, and Australia has equities in that, of course, but only in an indirect sense, in the same way that everybody on planet Earth does. But I think the thing that frustrates Australia, and this is why I think it matters to Australia, it is yet another example of how American strategic and operational focus can be drawn away from the theatre that we care most about, and that is in the Australian time zones. You project those north on the other side of the equator to our north. That's where that's where our focus is, and I think that's where we'd prefer the Americans to be spending more of their time and more of their energy, both strategic and operational.
So you mentioned Minnesota, and you can't turn on any news service without seeing this unbelievable vision and the protests. What is the story with Donald Trump, the ICE agents, and the killing of what appears to be innocent people? What do you make of this?
Oh, I think it's a tragedy. I think it's one of the worst things I've seen come out of the United States. Oh, my goodness. I've got to go reach almost back to the civil rights era to find a series of episodes where policies of the federal government have just so spectacularly backfired and displayed in America that I don't recognise at the moment. I'm an American citizen. I moved there. I studied in the States. I lived in the States for 28 years. It's an America I don't recognise at the moment. And that's the most startling thing about it for me. It's got this, I'm trying to keep the professor hat on, but it just resonates personally, this one, Luke. I've spent a lot of time in Minneapolis over the years, visiting the university there as a guest lecturer, and some of my students ended up teaching there themselves and whatnot. And but to see that city become ground zero for this ridiculous campaign that is half amateurish, half frankly proto-fascist being run out of the White House, it's just this supremely upsetting, supremely disappointing episode by what is almost buffoonish and just displays, I think, the profound unseriousness yet dangerous character of some of the people around Donald Trump at the moment. It is finally revealed as such by the tragedy of two well-intentioned, fair-minded, and look pretty decent citizens being, frankly, murdered by agents of their own government wearing masks.
It kind of reminds me of 1970, and you had 4 college students killed, 9 wounded, by the Ohio National Guard at Kent State University campus, remember this, protesting about Vietnam, and Nixon sent in the National Guard and 4 students were killed.
That's the episode I kind of had in mind, Luke, when I said the civil rights era. I was reaching back to Kent State, was when, my Lord, that's 56 years ago, right? That's how far back you've got to reach. The other thing it highlights, Luke, and I think it's important for Australian listeners to get this, it's captured on iPhones now. You know, there are like literally 4 or 5 angles on each of these incidents, and we can use technology to dissect literally millisecond by millisecond what went down. The thing is, it's happening to white people, and for years, though, there's been, I think, people of colour who are US citizens have been subject to predatory policing, overly aggressive law enforcement has been a sort of a reality for poorer Black America in particular. And I think what's different about this is that it's not local law enforcement doing what is committing these sort of acts against minority communities. That's been part of the American experience, I'm afraid, for a long time. This is agents of the federal government wearing masks in particular, and it just has just too many echoes, some of them quite by design, with Nazi Germany, to be perfectly blunt about it.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about this in our lead up to today's podcast. I'm not across this, but Thomas and Kelsey really are, being millennials. And that there was so much footage taken on phones of what happened in Minnesota. It's been uploaded and downloaded and watched all over the world, but now people are trying to watch it on certain social media platforms like TikTok, and it's pixelating and buffering. And there are now rumours that it's being censored.
One of the news stories, again, so much news comes out of the US, and this is the thing that Trump does, the pace of it, you can barely keep up. But a piece of news I saw blast over my desktop in the last 2 or 3 days was that the US version of TikTok, TikTok was banned for a while in the US, being China. Okay, now we've got a US version of TikTok, but it's being run by Larry Ellison's family's firm. Larry Ellison owns Oracle, but apparently it's their technology that is powering the TikTok, the American version of TikTok. And it is widely thought, or at least people are openly speculating about, and Congress is going to take a look at this, I believe, is the algorithm, quote unquote, being tweaked to downgrade content critical of Trump and his administration, and promote content that is supportive and of Trump and his administration.
That is frightening, because we saw his attempt to get Jimmy Kimmel off the air. And this is the bloke who says, you know, capitalism, free speech. And yet it appears that he's doing everything he can to make sure there's free speech, so long as it doesn't criticise Trump. I've got to ask you this, because we are on limited time, and I know you've got eager, keen, young, hungry minds to educate.
I do.
What is Trump's obsession with Greenland? Now, at first, people thought, it must be some sort of military strategy, but it's got a lot to do with rare earth, hasn't it? Can you explain what Trump is planning here, and how can you go in and annex a country? It's beyond my comprehension. Please, can you educate me?
I'll try. I'll do my best, Luke. A couple of things. One is there's a very Trump ego piece to this. I think, frankly, he wants the map of the world and the map of the Western Hemisphere, that part of the globe where the United States sits, to look different. At the end of it began with renaming the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, but he has in mind his presidency being one that historians talk about as changing the physical layout of the United States, like the same way that Thomas Jefferson did the Louisiana Purchase and expanded the United States off the eastern seaboard into the interior, the same way that Teddy Roosevelt really built what was an American empire, Puerto Rico, and at one point the Philippines was basically an American colony. Trump has in mind of him being one of those quote unquote great American presidents, capital G, capital A, capital P, that adds to the territorial extent of the United States. I think he holds that in his head, and someone has shown him the Mercator projection of the Earth, in which Greenland looks immensely large when it's only really about 1/5 of the size of the existing United States. But Trump, I believe, has this big ego piece of it, number one. Number two, with global warming, the Arctic becomes of immense strategic significance, and not just Greenland, but the entire Arctic region, as that becomes open ocean for more and more of the year. It's already starting to happen. It will become, pretty much the scientists tell us, a permanent feature by mid-century. The ships will be traversing between China and Russia, between European ports and getting over to Asia, going over the top, as it were, literally in decades to come. But you mentioned it, the rare earth story too. Greenland is thought to be chock-a-block with minerals under the ice, and as the ice recedes, it's going to be a gold rush, literally perhaps a gold rush.
There is, in fact, an Australian company that's vying for the rights to the rare earth in Greenland. So there is an Australian connection. It is just frightening. And you talk about Trump wanting to run the world or be king of the world, and it takes me back just recently to the World Economic Forum and that amazing speech by the Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who, and we discussed it on this podcast, but I'd love your thoughts on this, because he's saying, countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, countries that are sufficient in rare earth and other minerals, food, we do have the potential to be self-sufficient with oil, but that's another topic we can talk about another day. But he's saying, let's do away with the bullies, and if Trump wants to put tariffs on countries that don't necessarily go along with his foreign policy or his ideology, I'll whack a tariff on you. And he's saying, Mark Carney's saying, find other markets. Trump's really got the shits with him because he's negotiating trade deals with China. And we are dancing a very delicate dance, aren't we, Professor? Because our biggest military ally is the United States, and we enjoy that umbrella of protection. But our largest trading partner is China. What did you make of Carney's speech? Because I thought it was just breathtaking.
It was a rip the Band-Aid moment. Now, Canada has been copping it, right, big time from Trump. And if I'm Carney at this point, I've got the shits too, and I'm going to call BS on it. Now, he did it in an extremely eloquent way. He is A grade. He's top shelf. He's been governor of the Bank of England. He's been governor of the Bank of Canada. He's a serious, serious individual. And apparently he wrote that speech himself. It is well worth watching. It is a speech for our time in which he says, the flip side of the rules-based order and these alliances and economic integration, when the hegemon, like the US in this case, is playing by those rules, it does lift all boats, right? But when all of a sudden your hegemon is being run by Tony Soprano, like a mob boss, it's an extortion racket, right? All those things you signed up for, economic integration, alliance, military alliances, in Australia's case in particular, outsourcing your national security to be under the American nuclear umbrella, frankly, they all of a sudden become levers for your protector to start extracting you. And now, we've always been dancing to the Americans' tunes, but we've been happy to do that when America has been seen to be the good guy or the good actor. But when, and I think it's paraphrasing to really distill what Carney's saying, but when the leader, of your protector, as it were, can just as easily flip the script on you and now use all that you've signed up for, thinking it is going to promote your security, it is going to enhance your prosperity, can use that then to just start extracting leverage from you and revealing, I think, what was always, I think, the true nature of the relationship, patron-client, right? But now you're perhaps on the losing end of the deal in a real brass knuckles way. You can work for your employer, your boss can be good, or you can have a good landlord. But boy, oh boy, once you're in those relationships, it doesn't take much for the power imbalance, should the person with the power want to start using it in almost an abusive kind of way. And this is Carney's point. Now, what's the out for a country like Australia, or for Canada for that matter? Well, if you want to free yourself from that relationship, all of a sudden you are thinking about the world in a really different way to the way Canada has, certainly, and the way Australia has, where we've thought of, yes, we've got this relationship with Big Brother America, and there's a, sort of it's tug of war, and sometimes they give us the shits, and we probably give them the shit sometimes. But in the long run, it's to Australia's benefit that we have the relationship. If you want to get out from under that, what does going it alone look like? And I think this is the big gulp moment for countries like Canada and Australia. And I don't think we're going to do it. I think we're going to try and just wait Trump out and see what comes down the stretch. Because the lift in investment it would take, we're having a debate in Australia about taking defence spending to 2% to 3%, whatever, 3.5% of GDP. The real number, if we wanted to do away with the American security blanket that we've enjoyed pretty much continuously since World War II, the true cost of that, forget about it. It's 7, 8, 9, 10% of GDP. And that's a dilemma that we face. How much is our independence in a real, true sense of the word, sovereignty that we talk about all of the time? Are we prepared to write the check to truly be an independent nation? And this is the dilemma for middle powers. The cost to middle powers of doing that may not be worth the costs of having to put up with, say, once every 50, 60 years, and you hope it's only that often, that the hegemon goes a little berserk and is being run by a character more like Tony Soprano than Dwight Eisenhower.
Professor Simon Jackman, Professor of Political Science, is with us. We're very lucky to have you. Just quickly, last question. The coalition. Can we bring it back to Australia for a second?
Sure.
Okay, so the coalition is a shambles at the moment. It's been a shambles for a long, long time, but it is now, as a coalition, in tatters. It's the second time in under 12 months that the Nats have pulled away. I'm sure that they will kiss and make up because neither can win government without the other. However, we do talk to David Littleproud regularly on this podcast. In fact,
great. Yep.
We were due to talk to him last Monday, but it was Australia Day. So we'll be talking to him next week. Colin Boyce, a Nationals MP, is challenging Littleproud's leadership, and I think hasn't got a hope in hell, but we'll find out when the party room meets next week. Can the coalition regather, regroup, and be a decent opposition again, or is it going to take a long, long time? And at the recording of this podcast, Susan Lee is still the leader of the Liberal Party, but once again, we'll find out next week. Very quickly, I know that you could go for an hour on this.
I have a lot of thought. Yeah, we're talking about my day job now.
Yes.
So real quickly, I'll just give you one big observation to start with, one for the listeners to ponder on. We have an unusual coalition in Australia. We have a capital C coalition. The two parties are historically at least fused in a way, and indeed are fused in Queensland, right? They've merged and become one political grouping. But that's unusual when you look at coalitions around the democratic world. There's sort of small C coalitions around the world. Conservative politics in Australia is landed on a capital C coalition, and the strains that produces have always been there, as you alluded to, and there's a lot of stories one can tell about that from the inside. Occasionally you get glimpses into that when you're around Parliament House in Canberra and talking to people in the know. But the bigger point there is that we have this very unusual formation, and it's under immense stress at the moment, as I think the set of policies that made sense of that bloc, say 80s, 90s, 00s, has really started to fray with generational change in the electorate. The sort of, I think, anybody under the age of 40, and I'd even call it 50, climate change is an accepted reality. Let's just get on with the transition, It's sort of accepting that as a reality and moving on. It's still that's a contested idea and across the spectrum that the coalition tries to straddle at the moment. An issue that worked well for them in terms of wedging the rest of the country is now wedging them, among others. Immigration, I'd say, might be the other issue like that. I think they'll ultimately get back together after we have some leadership changes. The Nats are going to deal with their leadership question first and foremost. I think, although the Libs would hate to concede it, the ultimatum that Littleproud made is probably going to play out, and that is with new Liberal leadership, I think there'll be a renegotiation of the coalition agreement. I'm not sure it leaves them any better off electorally for the reasons I was just alluding to, but I do think they'll get back together. I'm not sure they should, by the way. I think, what does that smaller C coalition model look like, where the Libs are free to contest in a way to help them win back city seats, the Nats are free to contest in a way that helps them stay off One Nation, and the regions, they sort of are separate entities, and then they just sort it out after the next election. Have we got enough between us now to form a government, rather than trying to take a unified platform to the people in the next election? Because I just think that's too hard, and Labor and the Teals just pick them apart. It just becomes almost too easy politics on the other side. And so I wonder if from a medium-term strategic sense, they might be better off having a different version, a less capital C coalition and a more lowercase c coalition over the next balance of this term, perhaps going forward.
I said that was the last question.
That's
this
right.
Is the last question now, Professor Simon.
Okay.
Because all focus is now on Pauline Hanson and One Nation. And Barnaby Joyce certainly seems to have backed the right horse here, but he's in the House of Reps, or he will contest a seat in the House of Reps. Pauline Hanson's in the Senate.
Yep.
And from memory, the last Prime Minister that was made leader and Prime Minister in the Senate was John Gordon, 1968, from memory.
Right.
But then there was a by-election and he did go down to the House of Reps. Yeah, I don't think you can be Prime Minister in the Senate. You do have to, and you need a majority of seats in the House of Reps. Okay. Obviously, disenfranchised Conservative voters are now flocking towards Pauline Hanson. You look at the last opinion poll last week, and she is a preferred Prime Minister way over Susan Lee. Mm-hmm. Can Pauline Hanson and One Nation form government? And can Pauline Hanson be Prime Minister?
No. And again, see earlier comment about a leadership change for the Libs. I think part of what you're seeing is, I think, a lot of coalition voters despairing after the May 2025 election result looked at Susan Lee's leadership and just sort of saw that Susan Lee's a moderate. She's talking a tough game, but Australian voters have this amazing bullshit detector. Authenticity.
What did Graham Richardson say? The mob will always sort you out.
Yeah, right. And I think they've sorted her out. That side of politics, who are listening to her a lot, have sorted her, and they know her heart's not in being a hard ass on the issues they want hard ass policies on, and so they're going. I think a leadership change. You put Andrew Hastie in there. I think one of the first things you start to see is that One Nation number come down and the coalition number start to go back up.
Professor Simon Jackman, I could talk to you all day, but we will talk. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
You're now officially part of the Bonafide podcast family.
Bonafide. I feel bonafide.
We will now officially send you your Bonafide Nature Bee sample. And you've got to take 2 every day. You'll feel a lot better. And we will talk again very, very soon. I'll let you go back to your inquiring minds at Sydney University.
Brilliant. Thanks, Luke. Thanks a lot.
I'm sitting back, radio on, lukebona talking, keeps me rolling along. Stories and laughter that brighten my day. Got that bluesy rhythm, but it's swinging my way. Oh, I got the lukebona blues, but they're the kind that chase away the gloom. Tapping my feet, smiling wide, happy blues, ride with me tonight. From the outback tales to the city lights, spinning yarns that feel just right. Every word's a beat, every lap's a tune, turning my blues into sunshine soon.
Time for Tech Talk, our first one of the year with Mr. Trevor Long from EFTM, Everything for the Man. G'day, buddy. I keep saying this to guests that we have on the podcast for the first time in 2026.
Yep.
Has the window on Happy New Year closed for you?
I've had this conversation with a couple of radio stations this week. No, I think February's the cutoff.
Well, I think if you can sell hot cross buns on Boxing Day,
you can say Happy New Year in March.
No, I'm thinking May.
Okay,
I'm thinking May. Now, listen, There's a couple of interesting things that you wanted to talk about, but there's one that's on my mind at the moment, and it's bugging me. And then when I had a chat with my mechanic, Michael's his name. From
Michael.
Mickey Boy from Better Motors down there at Garden Street.
Better Motors.
Top bloke.
Okay.
He was trying to print me off an email that I'd sent from my SCA account, and because of course I don't keep that anymore. And he said, "Oh, this bloody printer." I said, "What is it?" He said, "It's an Epson." I said, "Yeah, I've got one too in my office." And he said, "It's a bastard of a thing." He said, "All printers are bastards." And so I've asked other people who have printers in their homes, and everyone agrees that printers are a massive, massive pain in the ass. Now, can I just vent? Okay.
Yeah, go. I mean, you are already, so keep going.
I haven't started. So I only ever use the black ink, black on white paper. That's all I use.
Sure.
And yet,
100%.
when the toner runs out, I've got to buy a cartridge, costs a fortune, with 5 colours on it. I don't want yellow. I don't want red. I just want black. I've got to buy this big cartridge. And Kelsey's fiance is a tech expert, and he said just for an experiment once, he broke one into little pieces to have a look inside it. There's the tiniest little bit of ink, and yet the cartridge is as big as an old cassette player. Cassettes we used to use? Yeah. He said they have a very small amount of ink. But anyway, getting back to Mechanic Mick.
No, I'll stop you there. Mate, the number one tip I have for people is don't buy cheap printers. Okay, you can go to Officeworks and you can buy a $50 printer, $79 printer, and they're good quality. Let me be clear: printers make great printouts. Like what you get from a printer today is amazing, but the cartridges are the problem. And there's 2 solutions to the cartridge issue. HP have one solution, which is subscription. So you basically pay a monthly subscription, and it is online. It's monitoring your ink, and they literally post you a new cartridge in the mail when your old one's running out, and you're just paying a monthly subscription, and it just all happens. So it kind of feels okay because it just continually happens. But the most economical solution is what we call tank printers. Epson were the first to do this, and I remember getting a tank printer. I remember the announcement of this printer. They said, listen, there are disposable razor blades, there are razor blades with interchangeable heads,
yes,
and then there are electric shavers.
Yes.
They said this is the electric shaver of the printer world. You pay more for it up front, but your ongoing costs are minimal. So with an Epson tank printer, and Canon and HP have them as well, you might pay $300 for the printer. I actually, this week on the Today Show, I had one. So $300 for this printer, and it comes with these 4 bottles of ink. And I'm talking, 120 mils, maybe 200 mils of ink. Right?
Yeah.
And when you first set it up, you literally pour the ink into the tank.
Yeah.
And when your yellow runs out, you just fill up yellow. That's all you fill up. And when the black runs out, you fill up the black. And so you pay bugger all for the bottle of ink, and you do it every year or 2. I'm telling you, it was when we got 3 kids, we didn't fill the ink on this thing for 2 years.
Wow.
It's a far more economical way to go, and you feel, I think, better about what you're doing with your printer. So that's my advice on printers, is go the tank printers.
Yes.
Tell me about Mick.
Okay. So Kelsey's in charge of purchasing for the Bonafide podcast. So
of course.
That's for Kelsey. So anyway, Mechanic Mick says, I think there's a conspiracy theory here. I said, why? He said, because his printer gave him a warning that the toner was running out, and the paper came out all kind of wrinkly and faded in. And so what he did was, at the end of the day, he just turned it off, kicked it in the guts, turned it off at the wall. The next morning, printed perfectly for another month. He reckons that the printer and the cartridge are in cahoots in order for you to purchase more ink, and that it's planned obsolescence gone mad.
Look, it's not, but it's a great theory. Yeah, the fact is that what happens with ink in a cartridge is it sits idle, and if you don't use it literally twice a day, the ink dries up. There's a lot of things that can happen with an ink. In fact, that tank printer I told you about just then, I remember we didn't use it for months, and then I go to print and it didn't work. Well, what you got to do is you got to go through this like maintenance, just like taking your car to Mick. You got to get it serviced right. You got to maintain your printer. You got to make sure the ink's continually flowing. So little things can go wrong. That printer cartridge you pull apart, it's a little computer in itself. That cartridge isn't all meant to be ink. Some of it is computer circuit boards. It's remarkable technology. Can we just stop for a minute? Do you remember back when we were young? Printers was ink, dot matrix it was.
Yes.
It would literally put a dot, 6 dots would make a letter T. And now we can print a photo. Can we just stop for a minute and go, how amazing is it that you can send a photo from your phone wirelessly to this little $50 device and it comes out as a photo on paper? It is remarkable. But the thing is, it's complicated stuff that needs a bit of maintenance. But I do truly believe that if you spend money in advance, you will get a better longevity from the printer if you maintain it properly. I'm not a fan of cheap printers, and I think that maintenance is the biggest thing you got to do with all printers.
All right, a tank printer. How much are they?
Tank, yes, $300, around $300. So basically, it's the difference between spending under $100 or $300 plus. That's going to be the margin.
Okay. I also just want to get back to your razor analogy, and I don't have a commercial agreement with Gillette. I'd be happy to have one, or Schick, but I have never found an electric razor that does the job as well as a blade. I got a really good one for Father's Day years ago, and it just doesn't do it as close as the blade. I'm a blade user because the electric one just doesn't cut it for me.
No, well, as you can see, I don't even bother. So
no, you gave up a long time ago,
like 2003.
So anyway, speaking of printers, I notice on EFTM, Everything for the Man. Do you remember many years ago, Trevor, when you and I were on 2GB, and one of the first 3D printers came out, and you premiered it, and you said, "This is amazing technology. I think it's really clever. I love it." But what the hell are we going to use it for? It's a very, very fancy, unnecessary toy. That's what you said to me 12 years ago, 15, however long. But you went to Officeworks, and they're now selling another 3D printer, and you seem to be pretty impressed. Why do I need one?
Well, so the story is actually I went to Officeworks 12 years ago.
Right.
That was the one I brought in to show you, and I had printed things like chess sets.
Yes.
12 years ago, my eldest was 7. So, I was printing little trains and things like this.
That's right, yeah.
And the thing about it was hard. Like, it was hard work. You'd have to download this design, you'd put on USB stick, put it into the thing, and then you had this plate of glass, and you'd have to get a glue stick, like kids' glue stick, and you'd have to put it on the glass, just enough glue, but not too much, so that when it started printing this hot ink, which was plastic, it would stick to the thing. Anyway, it was complex. And sometimes it was 50-50 chance it would start the print and a 50-50 chance it would finish the print properly. And look, it was fun and interesting, and it was $1,500 for this machine. I've still got it downstairs, doesn't work anymore. But I got one just before Christmas from a company called Bamboo Lab. Now, this thing is not small. The best way to say is it's smaller than a laundry appliance, but bigger than a kitchen appliance. Probably the size of a small bar fridge, right? And so this enormous thing now, I can literally 15 minutes ago, I kid you not, while I was waiting for you, I was looking around my office here and I thought, I've got these little mini racing helmets. So Daniel Ricciardo, Oscar Piastri helmets, right? They're about this big. And they're just sitting around my office, and I think, I should mount them on the wall or something. So what I did, I went to an app that comes with a printer, and I searched for mini helmet mount. And in America, they have these mini helmets for NFL, so I went, that'll be all right. So I am currently printing downstairs in my office. I'm printing these little plastic mounts that go on the wall, and they're like just a shape that one end screws to the wall, and the other end you can sit your helmet on. And so within about 2 hours from now, I'm going to have 5 of these mounts that I'm going to be able to screw on the wall, mount these helmets, and I'm done. I didn't have to shop online. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to find a design. My wife sent me a video the other day of painter's tape and a little plastic, shield that goes over the tape that allows you to rip the tape off in one go, and it's a straight tear instead of having to use 2 fingers, etc. She uses painter's tape all the time in her crafting. And I printed these little things for her in 10 minutes one morning. Done. Christmas ornaments. We're printing so many things because now we've come so far. People are making designs and they're putting them on the internet for people to just download and print. I can do it all from my smartphone. I can print in multiple colors, so I can print a design that just comes out ready to go. It's like a toy. I've seen people printing toy Formula 1 cars, full color. it is remarkable. Now, this thing is $3,500, so not cheap at all. But holy hell, I'll tell you, this is a seal of approval in the tech world. My wife doesn't like my job. She hates the gadgets. She hates all the cool stuff, doesn't want it in our house. Yesterday, she came to my office, and I've been in this office 7 years. She's been here 4 times, I reckon. She came to the office to pick something up, and she goes, "Is that the size of it?" I went, yeah. She goes, "Yeah, that could fit in your office at home." And I went, "Oh, she's thinking this could come home." For something to migrate from the EFGM man cave to our home is a big deal. So if my wife is seeing the potential benefits in 3D printing, then we are onto something here, son. It's very exciting. It's really interesting. It's fascinating to search up. If you're on Instagram, search up 3D printing, you'll see the kind of things people print, and it is remarkable. So, yeah, mate, I'm very impressed with this thing. The Bamboo Labs, this one's called the H2C is the model number. And, yeah, I'll put some photos. And look, it's got a camera inside. It will record a time lapse for you of the print. On my article on EFGM, there's a YouTube video of a few time lapses of some silly things I printed. Mate, it's very cool.
I don't think I need one.
I think, the kind of things you would print are like a beer can holder. Like you might have come up with some sort of cool beer can holder.
Do you know what I would print? Do you know? Because I've looked online, and it's a topic for Adam McDonald probably. But I am kind of obsessed with the Thunderbirds. And to buy good Thunderbird models online, they've got cheap plastic ones, which I would never get them. And to go back and get the good retro Thunderbird models, I've got a Thunderbird 2, and inside it there's Thunderbird 4, the submarine that was piloted by the submariner Gordon. See, I'm a bit strange.
You are a massive
but I would
nerd.
love a Thunderbird 1, which Scotty piloted. That's the grey one with the red nose, the wings come out. I would love a Thunderbird 1. Now, you can buy really ordinary ones, but could I print one, and would it come out okay?
I mean,
is that plagiarism?
I'll show you.
Do I have to pay a
I should
copyright?
be able to show you this, right? It's not Thunderbird 1, but can you see that?
That's Thunderbird 2. Yeah, I've got
That's
that.
Thunderbird 2, right? I've just searched this app for Thunderbird, and it's come up with that. Like, I haven't even spent time looking, and there's Thunderbird 2, right? So I'm sure somewhere is Thunderbird 1.
It's the rocket. And it can sit on the ground on legs horizontally, but it's usually it takes off from Tracy Island straight up.
You would end up, you know what you'd end up doing? You'd end up printing the whole bloody island.
No, I just want 1 and 2, and I've got 4. They're my favourite. Oh, the satellite would be good.
Wouldn't you want little figurines of Brains and stuff? Was that his name? Brains?
Yeah, it was Brains with the glasses. I said, yes, Mr. Tracy. I would like Lady Penelope, but then you'd have to get the
Are we still talking 3D printing?
So you could print Thunderbirds.
You just said I'd like Lady Penelope.
I would. And that pink Rolls Royce with the six
with
wheels.
soft top. Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
What a car.
So,
what a show.
Yeah.
Is there a documentary about that anywhere?
Absolutely, the making of Thunderbirds. And then I think about 40 years later, they go back to the studios, which are all empty now, but the studios were still there before they pulled them down, and they sort of relive it. It was amazing.
Well, oh, wow. Where's that to watch?
YouTube.
YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Really?
The making of Thunderbirds.
It sounds like something that should be on a proper streaming platform.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, I love the Thunderbirds, so I'll look it up.
Thunderbirds go FAB, Scotty.
And what's your, as a nerd, a Thunderbirds nerd, what do you believe FAB stands for?
Well, it's never really confirmed. Forward Advanced Broadcast. It's another word for Roger. Got that. I understand the message received. Message received. But it's never actually really explained. There's lots of theories.
Lots of theories. I would have thought you'd have a...
Frequently acquired broadcast, forwardly... Google it. What is it? What's FAB?
I'm looking. It honestly, fully advised and briefed.
Yeah.
That's another interpretation. But basically everyone's saying it's yes or Roger.
Yeah.
FAB.
Yeah, message received. Understood.
Yeah.
How do we... okay.
I don't know, mate. Welcome to the Bonafide podcast. Is this your first day? What are you talking about, mate? How did we get onto that? Jesus Christ.
I was reading a story online on news.com.au by Cameron McAuliffe, and I thought, geez, I want to talk to Trevor about this, and it's AI.
You'll find the same story at 9news.com today on EFTM.com by Trevor Long. But go on.
Should we do an edit? I saw this amazing story on news.com, EFTM, Everything for the Man, how we Australian shoppers can now book tickets to the cinema, to a concert, buy almost anything, and ask AI to do it for us. It's an AI assistant shopper.
Yeah.
And
full disclosure, I'm travelling to the Australian Open final as a guest of MasterCard this weekend. I'm just saying that to brag, but MasterCard are actually behind this, right? It's one of the reasons I'm going down to have a chat with them about it, to understand this thing. Because, so last year I was at, Google, and then later in the year ChatGPT announced it. They basically announced that not only can you now ask ChatGPT and Google Gemini just crazy stuff and get answers, you can now ask it to do shopping for you. So the idea is, I'm looking for a suitcase, I'm traveling overseas. And it might ask you some questions to say, what color do you want? Or, is it large, small, whatever. It might ask you a bunch of questions. And then it'll go away because these bots, these AIs, can actually surf the internet. And the idea was it could do that kind of shopping, or it could be like, read my shopping list and order that stuff online for me and have it delivered to my house by Friday. And you might have a shopping list in your computer. It might go to the Woolworths website and it might put everything in the cart, check out, and it'll come to your home. Basically, you did nothing other than just say, hey, can you do that for me? But the problem with that theory is who's making the payment?
Yeah.
Now, you do not want to give an AI your credit card details.
No.
Absolutely not. Don't hand that stuff over. And do you want to be logged into your credit card details so that AI can just use it? So what MasterCard have done is come up with this thing called Agent Pay, which leans upon all the work they've done over the recent years in what they call click to pay. If you've ever been on a shopping website and at the checkout it says, how do you want to pay? Apple Pay, PayPal, there might be a click to pay icon. And you go, I've got a MasterCard, click that. And basically it does this kind of ping back and forth with the banks and says, is this guy a customer? Yes. And then you just authenticate with your bank app or your thumbprint or whatever it might be. So it's a built-in authentication for you to do easy shopping. And so what they've done is they've made it possible to plug that into AI, and they've tested it and actively used it now with one small AI company, but they are actively talking to Google and ChatGPT, so that if I do say in the future, if I say to ChatGPT, hey, I've got this 3D printer. It's a Bamboo Labs H2C. I've run out of yellow filament. Can you buy me 2 rolls of PLA yellow filament? The ChatGPT will go away. It'll do the whole thing on the Bamboo Labs website. I won't have to click and find and search. It'll just do it all. And then I'll get a message going, do you want to pay now? And I'll put my thumbprint or my Face ID. It'll show me the MasterCard logo. It'll show me the CommBank or ANZ, whoever I'm with. And I'll verify essentially through the bank, and that'll be authorized back to the AI, but I haven't had to give anyone new my credit card details. It's just the normal payment system that I already was signed up to and enrolled with, and so it's all secure and safe. And most importantly for the seller, so in this case for the 3D printing company, they have surety that it really was me authorizing the payment. It wasn't some rogue AI. So think about this. AI, the biggest problem we've got with AI is it goes rogue. And there's already been, I've seen some stuff this week from people who've trusted these AI systems and it's gone away and signed them up to bloody subscription services they didn't want to sign up to. So is the AI going rogue and buying these things for you, or did you really want those items? And that's what this Agent Pay system through MasterCard does, is it gives the seller surety that you really do want it, and it gives you surety that you've got the safety and security and the authentication of your payment. It's pretty cool. Like, it's not a today thing in reality.
I really worry about security because AI has a mind of its own.
That's why this requires you to interject and go, yes, I authorize this payment. And that's the security you want. You want to know that you know every payment that's being made on your credit card. Should absolutely be that way.
By the way, when you're talking to your mates at MasterCard, just let them know the Bonafide podcast is open for sponsorship, and
I understand.
And a commercial agreement with MasterCard would be just great.
Understand.
Remember your friends, okay?
Yeah. Well, I remember myself first because I don't have a payment sponsor on my podcast either. But anyway, go on.
I'm happy to share. Last one. So we've had a fantastic summer of sport, at the cricket, and now we've got the tennis.
For the few days we got of the cricket, yeah, go on.
I think we
Can
had
we talk about Novak Djokovic? I mean, I don't watch the tennis. I kind of just have it on, and like when there's an Aussie in, I'm all in, that kind of thing. And the final I'll get into. But I was glancing as we record yesterday at the Djokovic match, and I'm like, he's down 2 sets, and then it was over, and there was the other guy that withdrew. I'm like, should we check the betting markets on that game? What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I mean, come on. How sick was the bloke? He was up 2 sets.
Yeah, you'd think he'd struggle through.
I mean, that's my point is you're playing one of the greatest players in tennis and you're 2 sets up. And this is, let's be clear, everyone, calm down. I'm just an idiot rev head who glanced at a screen, wasn't even listening. I don't even know what the guy's injury was. He might have smashed his ankle. I don't know. But the fact is, he walked off. I saw that. If I smashed my ankle or my elbow, I'd be like, strap it up. I'm 2 sets up. Let's go.
I'll go left-handed.
Yeah, something.
Remember Nick Kyrgios?
Anyway, sorry. Was there a reason for the question?
Nick Kyrgios made the
sport?
final of the Australian Open because Rafa pulled out. Remember that? That's the. But anyway, by the
Great
way,
summer of sport. I don't know what we were talking about. Sorry.
I'm going to get back to that. But by the way, one of our earlier podcasts features a very good friend of mine and a mentor of mine for many years since I started in radio at 16, Craig Willis, who was the voice of the Australian Open for many, many years. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rod Laver Arena. Martina Navratilova. He's fantastic. He's a special guest on our podcast. A few
Does he
episodes
say Steffi Graf or Steffi Graf? Steffi Graf.
Vitas Geralitis. Anyway, Craig Willis, the voice of the Australian Open, he's got some good stories on a previous podcast. Anyway, so we've enjoyed a great summer of sport and summer outdoors, our little Boners beer garden out by the pool, outside the man cave where the barbecue is and the outdoor. I really want a telly out there on the wall. Do I go to the expense of getting a specialised outdoor telly, or do I buy a cheap indoor one and hope for the best? Do I go to the expense?
No, just buy a cheap one. I mean, it's undercover. It's undercover, right?
Yes.
Basically, next time Aldi have a cheap deal, or go to Big W, the good guys, just buy the cheapest possible TV that fits that space. And say to yourself, look, this is a $150 TV, it's a $200 TV, whatever it is. It would have cost me thousands if it was a proper outdoor one. And there's not many of them, to be honest. There's a Samsung make a thing called the Terrace, and it's also not made for the genuine exposed elements. It still needs some level of protection. But broadly, and then you go to Amazon, you get a mount. I go to Amazon, you get yourself a nice cover for it, maybe one that zips up. Try to go to some level of. But in the end, elements will get in. Bottom line, it will be exposed to the elements, mate. If you get 2 years out of it, that's cool. And then you've got the mounts on the wall, the power's there. Just whack another one up.
Don't just go to the expense of a specialised outdoor telly. They're overrated, are they?
Just go to a little bit of expense for the cover, and then just be smart about it. Yeah,
you've got to go to Channel 9. You're on the telly very, very soon, and I look forward to seeing that. I'm on Sunrise tomorrow, by the way. So,
well, I wake up with today, and that's the optimal thing to do. Have been for 10 plus years.
But incidentally, you find the most amazing things on YouTube, and I'm a huge consumer of these funny little documentaries. I've just got a strange brain. And you were talking about FAB, Roger, message acknowledged. The international word for correct or I understand are 2 letters, okay. You want to know where that came from?
No, go for it.
Okay, well, it's an abbreviation. It was a joke that was printed in, I think, the Boston Times back in about 1838. And they were making fun of people with Midwestern accents because originally it was all correct. But they changed it to okay. And in fact, so it started out as a gag. And then Martin Van Buren, who was running for office, had a whole campaign called OK. You remember Barack Obama? Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Well, Van Buren's slogan when he was running for the New York Senate was OK, which was the abbreviation of all correct, a bit like Jeep. JEEP is general purpose. It's not GP, is it? Right?
Really?
Yeah, general purpose vehicle was the origination of Jeep, but they spell it JEEP, but it was a army vehicle, and it was a general purpose vehicle. So anyway, okay.
How do you fit this shit in your head?
I don't know. And so when they developed and were developing Morse code, OK for I understand was really quick and simple. And it's non-accusatory. It means I don't necessarily agree with you, but I understand the message. OK.
Wow. Well, is there a name for this segment, Boner's Useless Information?
That's what we'll call it. We could call it What's... All right, this is where it gets interesting. Power Bee's already doing the heavy lifting. Full meal replacement, chocolate flavour. It really fills you up. And it's the only shake in Australia with Nature Bee's power pollen inside it. You've got premium grass-fed whey protein, 4 strains of probiotics, vitamins designed to keep you fueled without overthinking it, 2 shakes a day, alongside a balanced diet and exercise. Done. But here's the kicker. Nature Bee's running a bucket list competition. And it wraps up Friday, January 30. We're talking about scoring a $20,000 life-changing travel experience. Amalfi Coast, Egypt, the Great Barrier Reef, the Grand Canyon by helicopter, anything you want. 10 more winners get gift cards and Nature Bee prizes as well. And all you need to do is spend $79.90 for your chance to win. All you need is a valid passport and a little bit of initiative. And yep, it's backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. Click the links in the description. Head to naturebee.com. Boner's asked today.
No, go a little bit more shit from Boner's head.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
What,
hey, have you got Netflix?
Yes, I'm allowed that.
Have you watched the Elizabeth Smart documentary? Kidnapped?
No.
Very good.
What's it about?
A young girl called Elizabeth Smart kidnapped from her home in 2002. That's all I'm going to say. It's an hour and a half movie-length documentary.
Do you know what I'm watching at the moment? And I don't know if I'll give it one more. Ted Lasso.
Oh, fuck. It's the greatest show on TV.
Do I keep going with it?
Yes.
Okay. And the other one...
I mean, it's just good fun viewing. Don't overthink it.
Okay. And the other one that I'm watching because of the Millennial was staying over for a few days. And
right. So you've got Apple TV. We've established that, yeah? So you're watching Pluribus?
No, watching Morning Wars.
Oh, it's pretty good. I've only really watched the first season, to be honest, but everyone says it gets better and better into the other seasons.
I've been told to Shane Adam Bassett told me persevere.
Shit, there's one where they blank their heads out and they Apple TV. I'm not leaving until I've given you this great shows. Oh, Shrinking you should watch. That's excellent. Severance, that's what it's called. Severance. So Shrinking's great for a start. It's just Harrison Ford and a bunch of other great cast. Harrison Ford's a shrink, and so it's a story of shrinks. It's very good. And it's sad, but also tragic and also uplifting. So that's a great show. And then also on Apple TV, Severance. So this is deep. You need to really engage in this and watch the whole season, and there's a second season. The concept is, if I could explain it to you, people have opted into this program of severance, and you leave home for the day, you go to work, and when you're at work, you go in this lift that blanks your mind out. You don't remember your real world. So you've got 2 personas, your work persona and your home persona, and they don't know each other. It's fascinating.
Severance?
And what was Severance, Shrinking, Pluribus.
All on Apple TV.
Months. Mate, Apple TV is the best quality content on the internet. They don't make shit. Netflix makes a bunch of shit just to fill the list, and because they'll make shit that looks shit to me, but it's actually great for teenagers, or looks great for me, it's shit for teenagers. Apple TV just makes stuff that works mainstream. It's just great content.
So do you want Shane Adam Bassett now to do technical reports on gadgets?
Oh, have I encroached on someone's territory? Sorry.
Demarcation, little bit encroachment. No, that was really good, Trev. We could do that.
I bet you if you bring up those shows to Shane Adam Bassett, he'd be like, that's amazing. They're good recommendations.
Severance, Shrinking and Pluribus. I've written them down. And we do have Apple TV because we're piggybacking
the Minister for War and Finances loosened the purse strings there. Hey, what's going on there?
The Apple Prime thing is from Kelsey. We're using her account.
Oh, that's highly illegal.
Because she was living here for a while. She comes over and stays for a little while. And she and her mum love it because they get on the drink at night and they talk shit.
No point visiting you if you don't get on the drink.
Yeah, well, I'm gone. I go downstairs because I get up early and I go to bed early. But I know Kelsey and her mum have great chats over Shiraz. And what does Nikki have? Oh, she has a Bailey's with a little splash of rum.
Right.
And that's her
Doubling
little
down.
evening thing, and they gibber and watch shows together. Trevor, that was great. Thank you so much. How you been?
I'm here
Good?
for you, Loogie boy.
What do we look forward to? What's coming up?
We're only just getting into the year, really. So we've got some Samsung new phones coming later in the month. The Formula One Grand Prix in March. That's all I care about.
Well, we will keep you going through 2026 if you'll have us. Thank you so much. EFTM, everything for the man. Trevor Long, love your work.
See you, mate.
When you can't sleep, or you did something dumb, or you've got a confession that's twisting your tongue. Pick up the phone, don't stop. 02-9128-9311. Go on, mate, give us a call. When you can't sleep, or you did something dumb.
Well, it's been a while since I've had the pleasure of getting inside the amazing brain of our next guest, Dr. Michael Carr-Gregg, renowned child psychologist and social commentator. Just in the shadow of the social media ban on kids under 16, it's interesting to see how it's all panning out and if it indeed is going to be the solution to taking away the angst and anxiety that social media can bring. He's on the telephone right now to talk about that and a few other things. Welcome to the Bonafide podcast, Dr. Michael Carr-Gregg.
Absolute pleasure to be with you.
Social media companies have revoked access to about, 4.7 million accounts identified as belonging to children in Australia. This is since the country banned the use of platforms by those under 16. I've got to ask you this. First question, obviously. Did you think that this ban was going to work and achieve its objectives, and has it done that?
Too early to tell if it will. There's a 2-year research program that the federal government have put together. After 2 years, we'll have a verdict. I think this is a desirable attempt by the government to make sure that we no longer outsource the psychological development of our young people to Silicon Valley. And I like that idea. The under 16 social media ban is not a silver bullet, but it's a start. I am so proud to be part of a country that actually has decided to do something about the fact that we created a change about 20 years ago where we changed from a play-based childhood to a screen-based childhood. And the results have been disastrous across the world. Higher rates of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, deliberate self-harm. We have been the first nation that stood up and said, part of this is social media, part of this is mobile phones, let's do something about it. And we, make no mistake about it, lead the world. So I genuinely believe that we had to do something about it, and I genuinely believe that this is now the way of the future. Britain last night passed through the House of Lords legislation to do the same thing, and it now goes down to Parliament to decide. My bet will be that Britain will have at least 10 platforms restricted by probably halfway through this year.
Should all social media platforms be banned?
In my view, for under 16-year-olds, it's very desirable for that to happen. If we look at the impact of social media on sleep, on diet, on exercise, on the psychological well-being of kids, the anxiety levels, it's an absolute no-brainer.
Where did we lose the art of communication? Where did our kids lose that art? Because they're going through withdrawal symptoms, so much so there's even boot camps starting up where kids have to hand in their phones. They have no access to any electrical device, and they have to learn to, come to terms with doing without it. And it's kind of like an electronics or an electronic less boot camp for kids. I mean, it's pretty drastic stuff, isn't it? How did our kids, how did this generation a few generations before it become so addicted and so reliant on social media?
Well, I think it started in 2007, which is a wee way ago now, but that's when the first iPhone was introduced by Steve Jobs. And that whole smartphone app, Spotify, iTunes thing suddenly dragged an entire generation of kids into a dependence on their phone. And that's just grown over the time. We've had these algorithms that feed you exactly what you want. And when your brain isn't fully developed, you're going to be constantly seeking that dopamine hit, which is why what has happened has happened.
Yeah, and people are reliant on how many followers they have and who's talking about whom. And I've said this before, but I think I may have even said it to you before. I think anyone who thinks they're popular because of the amount of likes they have on social media, they're a bit like people who think they're rich while playing Monopoly.
Yeah, it's a little delulu. What the idea of this social media delay is it's a public health circuit breaker. I think it's going to be an enormous support to parents who basically up until now lacked the moral authority to be able to say to a 12-year-old, no, it's not appropriate for you to be on TikTok. And it isn't appropriate for a 12-year-old to be on TikTok. No question in my mind about that. So I think if we could actually have a rise now in board games, in outdoor activity, in fresh air, how is Australian youth not going to benefit from that?
It's funny, because about 3 weeks ago, I think it was a Saturday Daily Telegraph published in New South Wales and Sydney, and it was a report saying that bookstores have seen an increase in business. And that's a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, my God. I mean, books are things that keep people out of jail, in my view. The more we read, the more informed we are, the more we develop the capacity to take on different people's perspectives. To me, that is the best news. And already I'm feeling a little bit, optimistic. Look, we're not out of the woods. We've still got problems in that they're gaming platforms that function like social media with messaging and voice chat. Strangers can get on that and you can be bullied on that. We've still got other things that we need to get tweaked in this legislation. And I, for one, will spend every single spare moment this year lobbying government to get these things off, to include them in the legislation. I will not rest on this because I think we've made this start. We cannot take our foot off the pedal.
Dr. Michael Carr-Gregg, let me ask you another question. And I'm talking about indoctrination of young minds, and there's a lot of talk at the moment about hate speech and radical ideologies that incite violence and hatred. And the indoctrination of kids, indoctrination of lots of people, but let's talk about 16 and under. The indoctrination and the spreading of that violent ideology amongst young people. How do you prevent that?
Well, I mean, this is an issue which is relatively new for us. We know that kids exposed to hate speech, whether it's targeted at them or others, actually show higher rates of anxiety and depression. They don't sleep as well. They've got poorer self-esteem and they don't feel safe in public. So this is a major public health issue. In order to reduce the amount of hate speech, the social media platforms on which it is first posted have to take more responsibility for that. There's legislation. I really don't understand how the hate speech of some religious groups in Western Sydney have been allowed to continue, and then we scratch our heads and wonder how something like Bondi could happen. Hello? If you allow this hate speech, you are going to have a very unpredictable future. So I think a combination of education, legislation, really enforced legislation is the answer to the hate speech dilemma.
Do you think children under the age of 16 should be allowed to march at protests holding placards?
There's a part of me that loves the fact that we've got freedom of speech in our country, and there's a part of me that loves the fact that anybody can pick up a sign, and as long as it's a reasonable sign, go out and protest. I like that. However, I do think that given the fact that a lot of these protests become violent, I, for one, as a father, would never take my children or allow my children to go to such events. When a whole bunch of kids were marching in Melbourne on the issue of Palestine, it occurred to me that half of those kids couldn't pick out Gaza on a map. They wouldn't know what they're actually protesting about.
So they've been indoctrinated.
Well, they have. And, you know, again, we have to look at some of the teachers in schools and what they're saying to the kids. I think state governments need to be really very, very vigilant for what is actually being taught in the classroom. And I think education is about getting different points of view, not one point of view.
But the whole freedom of speech thing is an interesting debate, isn't it? Because we want to live in a country where you have a right to protest legally, but not incite violence. But outlawing an ideology that you may not agree with. Let me give you an example. The Ku Klux Klan in the United States, an abhorrent organisation, but it's not illegal. And the reason is you make that illegal, it'll go underground and it's very hard to keep tabs on it.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's exactly what the Nazi Party in Victoria recently said, that because of the laws they were going to disband. Look, I think free speech protects a person's right to express opinions, criticise ideas, institutions, governments, and say unpopular, uncomfortable and controversial things. In Australia, that is supported through an implied freedom of political communication. And that's actually recognised by the High Court of Australia. But it is not absolute. Hate speech goes further because it involves attacking people because of who they are, their race, their religion, their disability, gender, sexuality, whatever, using dehumanising language, inciting people to hostility, discrimination or violence. It targets identity, not ideas. So I'm happy for people to contest ideas. I'm not happy for people to attack human beings on the basis of who they are.
Michael, last time you and I spoke was when I was on the Triple M network, and we talked about juvenile crime, which was the huge issue of the day, and some people might argue it still is an issue. But have we got on top of it? And I wanted to bring this in because there's always talk about the age of criminal responsibility. And one of the worst child juvenile crimes in my memory was in 1993 with the murder of James Patrick Bulger in England. And two 10-year-old boys, Robert Thompson and John Venables, were found to have abducted this poor little boy, tortured him and murdered him. They were 10. The age of criminal responsibility, this case actually brought about the age of 10 being the age of criminal responsibility because it was proven that these two boys and their evil act was premeditated, quite deliberate, and they knew that they were doing the wrong thing by the way they tried to cover it up, the way they lied about it, the way they threw each other under a bus. And it was proven that at 10 they knew what they were doing. Your reflections on the age of criminal responsibility?
Well, it's such an interesting case that you mention. Venables and Thompson actually went back to the scene of their crime and covered up their victim's body with rocks. And the court argued that they wouldn't have done that if they hadn't realised that what they'd done was wrong. So what that illustrated is that those two 10-year-olds had sufficient maturity and understanding to know the difference between right and wrong. The difficulty is, as a psychologist, I'm very well aware that age doesn't define maturity. So while I accept totally the need to have an age group, because the law demands one, to have an age at which you are criminally responsible, from a psychological point of view, it's an absurdity because we know individual difference makes that not really very relevant to us. So I've got 16-year-olds that I see who have the maturity of a gnat, and I have 10-year-olds who are brilliant and who are quite extraordinary. So that's the dilemma I'm up against. In terms of our current youth crime situation, what actually works, the evidence tells us, is early intervention. So if you intervene before patterns harden, and the strongest predictor of kids offending is what we call early disengagement. It's not bad character. What happens in primary school, what happens with family support and parenting and mental health access. So if we can get early intervention, it is a cheaper, fairer, and far more effective than later punishment. If people do offend, then obviously they need to be dealt with. There are any number of different arguments as to whether or not we're dealing with them properly at the moment. Certainly in Queensland, which is where I am at the moment, the adult crime, adult time policy is in place, and within a few months we'll know whether or not that's been working.
Yeah, we'll see down the track and see if it's working, but it's certainly not on the agenda today as it was when you and I last spoke, but let's hope we're on top of it. I've always said, you're always going to get repeat behaviour if there are no consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to you can reduce remand and unnecessary detention, but at what cost? You've just got to be absolutely clear that your assessments of the individual and their likelihood of reoffending is much better than it has been in the past. And I think that's because public opinion has said to a lot of the officers of our court, you've got to get this right because you can't stuff up anymore. And I think that's a good thing.
So if we could just now link back to Venables and Thompson, at the age of 10, to do what they did, do you think some children are just born evil? Is it in their DNA? Are some kids just born bad without learning bad behaviour?
So this is one of the questions that psychology has sought to answer for, I think, since I began. My view is that no child is born evil. Everybody is born, as I just said, with different temperaments and sensitivities and vulnerabilities. It's how those traits interact with each other and with their environment which determines their behaviour. So when people say to me, my children are they're just evil, what they're often expressing is frustration over extreme impulsivity or aggression or low empathy or repeated rule breaking. These behaviours are alarming, but they're signals that we need to treat, not proof of moral corruption.
Just one last thing, because I know you've got somewhere to go in a second, and I appreciate the time you've given us today, but one of the burning issues of the moment are e-bikes and young kids getting on these bikes, and you and I had push bikes. These are bikes with motors, and they can go very, very fast, and they're heavy. They're like a motorbike. Is somebody under the age of 16, has their brain developed enough to cope with those speeds, and there's more traffic on the road than there was when you and I were riding our dragsters around, or our BMXs? Does somebody under the age of 16, has their brain developed enough to be able to cope with all that peripheral stuff that's going on, traffic, distractions, cars? What are your thoughts on kids 16 and under riding these very fast, powerful, heavy e-bikes?
Well, some of these can reach up to 45 kilometres an hour, and they accelerate a lot faster than a regular bike. I think the idea of them being ridden in traffic, on footpaths or with peers is terrifying, because the teenage brain is still developing impulse control and risk assessment. And I'm saying to all the ministers of transport across this country that mismatch matters, that if you've got literally no brakes up in your prefrontal cortex, then you're not going to have any on the e-bike. And people are going to get killed. People have been killed. And when you get elderly pedestrians walking, minding their own business on a footpath and they're hit by an e-bike, there's something wrong with that. So no, I don't think they should be. I think they should be restricted in the same way that we have recognised the age of drinking, the age at which you can drive a car. It seems to me a madness to allow someone whose brain isn't fully developed to be on a bike that can go 45 kilometres an hour on a pedestrian path.
Well, you can get a learner's permit for a motorbike at 17, I think, in New South Wales. So 17 is still very young. There are calls to bring the driver's licence age to even earlier. And maybe special exemptions for those who have left school and are doing an apprenticeship and they need a vehicle. What's the earliest age you think somebody should be given a driver's licence?
Well, in New Zealand, they give them to them certainly as young as 15.
Yeah.
That is because of the largely rural part of their economy, and they need kids to be able to drive utes and what have you. I think if we are going to lower the age at which kids are able to drive, then we have to have much stricter rules around late night driving. We need to introduce the idea of curfews. The statistics show that most of these road deaths with young people occur late at night. They occur because of overcrowding, speeding, alcohol and drug use. And in order to counter that, the New Zealand government introduced this really interesting nighttime driving curfew, and it cut those road deaths by 75%.
Wow.
So it said, you can have a license at 15, but you can't drive between 10 and, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I thought that was genius.
I just want to give you an example of how experience can win over inexperience. I was driving along the Harbour Bridge some time ago, and I was behind a car in the lane behind it to its right, and I could see the driver of the car was trying to merge left. Now, the only reason I knew this was because I could see the driver's body language. I saw their head turning back and forward, but there was no indicator on. They didn't put their indicator on to tell me that they were about to change lanes, but I knew that that's what they were trying to do. The reason I knew was because of experience, and it's really hard to teach that.
Well, experience comes with practice. There is an argument that we need to increase the number of hours that young people are required to practice before setting their license. I've always thought that was a good idea. The young people howl me down, obviously. I think maybe we need to do that, and we need to introduce that legislation around nighttime curfew.
That is really, really interesting, and it'll get a lot of feedback from our listeners, I am sure. Dr. Michael Carr, Greg, it's always a pleasure to talk to Mr. Common Sense, and please can we keep you on file and talk to you again here on the Bonafide podcast.
Always a pleasure. Take care, Luke.
Start listening to Bonafide. It's a really good podcast show. Available on Spotify. It's a really good download. Stop apologizing for missing an episode. Time is short, life is good. It's time for us to tune to a parkour pancake.
So here we go with what's usually a fun part of the podcast. It's time for the Man Cave with the Vice Captain, Adam McDonald. G'day, brother.
Here it is. Beautiful day down here in Canberra yesterday. 43 degrees in Fish Week.
That never happens.
43 degrees.
Unbelievable.
Unheard
not only
of.
do we have the Millennial, but we have Thomas the Tank Engine. And shortly, we're going to be talking to Granny Sue, because last week, Adam, you were talking about ghosts, and you went to the quarantine station at Manly, and you went on a ghost tour. And we had a listener tell us their spooky story. And since then, we thought, why don't we get Granny Sue on?
No, Granny Sue emailed us and she told us a spooky story. And I said, why don't we just get Granny Sue on and she can tell us herself?
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to ring Granny Sue and get her to tell us her ghost story.
Absolutely. Are we ready for that?
Oh, we'll do it now? Here we go. Everybody's favourite granny from far north Queensland. It's ringing now.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Matt Shervington from Channel 7 Sunrise. You've won the cash cow.
Yeah, good on you. Doesn't even sound like him.
You try harder next time, Luke.
I don't run as fast as him, and I haven't got that special Matt.
That's enough.
The special Matt Shervington Lycra package that he's famous for. Don't shake your head. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So, guys, while we've got everyone's favourite granny on, Granny Sue, the Vice Captain, Adam McDonald's, and guess who else is here? Thomas.
Hello, Thomas.
Hello, Granny Sue. How are you? Long time no hear.
Yes, we missed you.
We got the whole team back together.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, Granny Sue, we were talking about ghost stories, and you have a ghost story that you'd like to share. So take us through it step by step, because I'm skeptical, but Adam thinks there is something after his ghost tour of the quarantine station at Manly.
Well, Granny Sue would know because apparently she lived with a ghost for 3 years.
Granny Sue.
Yes, I did.
Take us through
I
it.
did live with a ghost. Okay, my ex and I were working on a station called Calvert Hills, and it was a poured concrete house, 2-story. Now, lying in bed downstairs, because we very seldom went upstairs, you could hear people walking around upstairs. I never took any notice of it until I went up there to make beds one day for visitors. You know when someone's watching you. I thought that's very, very odd. A few days later, I was down in the garden and I looked up to the top of the stairs and the screen door opened, closed. There was nobody there. I heard footsteps down the steps. So I sort of started to think a little bit that there was something going on. Anyway, about that time, my mother came to visit and she stayed in the room upstairs. And when she got up in the morning, she said to me, "Why did you come upstairs last night?" I said, "I didn't." She said, "Yeah, well, somebody did. Somebody came to my bedroom door, stopped and walked away." And she said, "I could hear the footsteps down the hall." And I said, "No, it didn't come anywhere near it." And we found out later that the manager that was here there before had a heart attack upstairs, and the room that Mum was staying in was where his kids used to sleep. And all he was doing was checking on the kids, and he was looking after the place.
That is scary.
I knew that there was something there. You could feel something there.
But if a ghost can walk through walls and they're invisible, how come their feet make noise on the ground when they walk?
Well, not all ghosts can walk through walls.
Yes, exactly. Not all ghosts.
Not all ghosts are the same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Luke?
really? And you're an expert.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
I think you've had too many spirits in your day, Adam.
Oh, boom, boom.
Yeah, you like that?
Look,
see what I did there?
I'm not scared of any. There's only two things in this world that I'm scared of, and it's ghosts and heights.
Why are you scared of ghosts?
Because you can't do anything. If you come across a bad ghost, like physically you can't do anything. Like if you come across a big bad dude in a dark alley, you've got a puncher's chance. You know, you can run. You can physically do something. But against a ghost, you physically can't do anything.
How do you know? How do you know?
But why are you scared? What terrifies you? The fact that you can't do anything, or the fact that you don't understand what's going on?
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
No.
Yeah, Adam.
No, it's because if it's a bad ghost, you can't do anything. If it's a friendly ghost, fine, whatever. It's like the footstep ghost that you had, Granny, that's fine. He's just checking on his kids. But if it's a bad ghost, you can't do anything. That's my
What do bad ghosts do, though?
Who knows? They can do whatever they want.
They have been known to hold people down in the bed.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
right.
is
Come on.
truth. That has happened to people.
I've read like but ghosts, you can feel like a massive pressure on your chest. It's hard to breathe, and you just can't move.
That's a heart attack, Adam.
No, no.
Adam, that's your cholesterol.
No, Luke.
I had a theory. I had a conversation with a gentleman that I work with, and we had a theory about, the Amityville horror.
Yes.
And all these possessed houses, right? And we think it's around the time when everyone had gas heating, and it was just people getting affected by like gas leaks and losing their minds.
Well, that's why they say that
That's a
older
good
people,
theory.
they're actually all a bit brain dead because they had so much lead in their day.
Yeah, Luke.
Doesn't say much to me, does it?
Can I tell you a story? I don't want to. I'm not.
I feel like you're going to tell us anyway, but yeah.
I don't want to six-fish you, but when I was a kid panel operator at 2GB, 1970, mid-78, 79, the real couple that were in the Amityville horror in the movie,
Yeah.
their names were George and Kathy Lutz, Lutz. And they came into the studio at 2GB for a pre-recorded interview with Bill Dowsett. I recorded it. And you might say it was a glitch.
Probably.
But it was reel to reel, and I'm recording this interview, and I went back and I had to do some splicing and edit it. It was there. The audio was there. And then when we came to play it on the air, it was gone. And all you could hear was this white noise as the tape went over the playback head. The recording disappeared, and it was the real Amityville horror couple, George and Kathy Lutz, 1979.
So explain that.
Kelsey will tell you I pushed the wrong button.
Absolutely. You're just technologically incompetent.
I was not popular.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I would put money on the fact that you've pressed the wrong button, you've done something, and that's why I didn't record.
It sounded like I'd put the tape over a bulk eraser. You wouldn't know what that is. Adam would. It's a big electromagnet. You put tapes in and out, and it erases them.
Yeah.
Right. If you do it really quickly, you get a white noise. If you don't, you're supposed to put it in.
Yes. We don't need a deep.
It was nowhere near a bulk eraser. It stayed.
How does the noise go?
Shut up.
Now, the other time I met a ghost.
Oh, there's more.
There you go. The ghost whisperer.
When my
ghost whisperer.
When my marriage broke up and I came home to my grandfather's property, who was now run by my dad. Granddad had died a few years before. And I was in a pretty bad way. And I was up one night thinking that maybe I'd just throw myself off the roof or whatever, and I wouldn't have any more drama.
Gee whiz.
And I felt my grandfather's hand on my shoulder. And he said, as clear as anything, it will be okay.
Oh.
And right from that day, I started to heal a little bit. And I just say that, yes, he came when I needed him, and he was there.
Ghost or an angel?
Yes, well, at that stage, he was somebody that I needed at that time. But he used to, every time he came downstairs in the morning, he used to blow his nose like nobody else ever did.
Oh, like Luke, yeah.
And that's the first thing I heard, and then the hand on my shoulder. So I knew it was him.
That's so sweet.
What do you think, listeners? Is this true?
You know what I think? So, on TikTok and social media and whatnot, you see these videos of like mediums where they like, they'll have a
John
big...
Edwards, what a
they'll
fraud.
have like
He's a hoax.
No, but they'll have like a big show, right? And, these people will come through. Does anybody know someone that died from cancer?
I'm getting a Mary. I'm getting a friend.
Yeah. But what always strikes me is that they usually always say something like, they've always been with you, they've been watching you. And I just think, that I would hate to have my dead grandma, dead grandpa, whatever, watch everything that I do.
Oh, imagine
imagine the paranoia.
I know.
Jesus.
I don't want them to see all those things.
I'm going to close the bathroom door.
I believe my dad's watching me. He and I had very good relationship, and I often hear his voice at night time when I'm sleeping, often. And I fully believe that he's watching me.
Do you reckon he just like turns away when you're maybe doing something a bit naughty?
I don't do anything naughty. I'm a good girl.
You don't want to be watching Adam when he's alone, that's for sure.
Oh, God. I don't need the visuals.
Oh, Jesus.
I totally believe in ghosts, and I believe that we are all capable, if we only stop and listen, we'd all hear a lot more things than we really should.
That's beautiful, Granny Sue.
Oh, that's Shakespearean.
It is. Thespianism.
Beg your pardon? That's why she doesn't want her grandfather to know that.
I don't know what that is.
Adam, there's a lot of ghosts in Hollywood films of years past. Was there a particular film at a young age that kind of haunted you or stayed with you that's kind of put this fear in you?
The Exorcist for me. The Exorcist for me. Linda Blair. Oh, my God. By the way, Linda Blair, 68 and still turning heads.
I never ever saw it, so I can't.
I think for me it was the Blair Witch Project, because when that
was
came
a hoax.
out, yeah, but there was all this talk like this is a real film. So I fell for the hoax, and that absolutely petrified me.
Yeah, I
The Exorcist, Linda Blair. Ooh.
That was really well
I
marketed.
can't remember The Conjuring. I'm pretty sure that was one that, but that's more about like the devil.
Supernatural movies are some of the biggest movies have been ghost movies.
Yeah, because people have an
it's a bit
innate
like
interest.
Jaws. I'll tell you why. You can't see the shark, but you know it's there.
Hmm.
The ghosts,
Yeah.
they're there, but you can't, as Adam said, do anything about it, and you can't
That's
see
right.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's a sixth sense.
They're like air. You can feel it, you just can't see
The
it.
Sixth Sense. Don't give the ending away. But did you get the ending? Did you see it coming?
No, but when
It got me. It got me as well.
Yeah. When it happens, you go, oh my God, and that's amazing.
Tony Collette, Bruce Willis. I couldn't believe that movie.
Great movie.
Anyway, Adam, you believe in bad ghosts and friendly ghosts.
Yes.
Well, do you know what? You are friendly, and you're white. So I'm going to call you Casper.
Right.
Adam, have
Yes.
you ever had any like items in your collection that you think were like possessed?
This is a true story. So I was out at a market at a swap meet, and I bought a Kill Bill. What's her name? Uma
Thurman.
figurine.
Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman figurine, and she's standing there in their yellow cat suit and a big sword. And I said to the fellow, "Does this work?" And he said, "No, it's never worked." I buy this Uma Thurman action figure. I looked it up, and what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to be a movement sensor, and when it senses something moving, it makes a noise. And I said to the fellow, "Does it work?" He said, "No, it's never worked. Since I've had it, it's never worked." So I took it home, put new batteries in it. Doesn't work. I'm, dancing around in front of it. Doesn't work. About a week and a half later, I walk past it and it starts making a noise.
So you're the ghost.
And I've got no idea why, but it wasn't the noise it was supposed to make. It was just a sort of a creepy, like Lee was saying, like that creepy white noise sound, but it was definitely there. And I stood there for a second and I go, where the fuck is that coming from? And then I worked it out. It was from Kill Bill.
No.
So, it's a prized possession, that thing.
No, I wouldn't have it in my house.
Oh, she can stay in my house, that's for sure.
Uma in the yellow suit with the sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh dear.
All right. Well, let's let our listeners contribute.
In my game, you hear lots of stories about, especially dolls, and the creepiest ones and the most talked about ones are ventriloquist dolls. They are freaky, and they're supposed to be traditionally, or as the stories go, they're the most possessed kind of dolls.
And what about Chucky?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Nah.
Yeah.
Chucky.
And Annabelle, she was the possessed doll, and what was the movie that was written about Annabelle?
Isn't it just called Annabelle?
Yeah, I think it's called Annabelle, and she's still in a museum somewhere in upstate New York, I think it is, and people go to look at it, and she's a registered possessed doll.
That's amazing. I love that.
No, Kelsey's not buying it.
No.
Kelsey's not buying it, listeners. Are you buying it? Leave us a message. Tell us your story.
It's because Kelsey's the wrong generation to have that sort of history. Like it's not a Pokemon, so she doesn't know about it.
Oh, I don't know.
Fair enough.
Get lost.
Yeah. You don't like it or you don't believe in it?
It's not that it's that I do believe in it, that I feel like ignorance is bliss when it comes to like ghosts and the supernatural. I feel like the more you know, the more you expose yourself to being targeted, right? So I don't want to know. Don't tell me about it.
No. You have to have a little bit of ESP to even be
Alcohol.
the least bit. No. ESP to even be contacted. They're not going to contact anybody that doesn't believe.
Exactly. Don't contact me. I don't want it.
Granny Sue, have you ever been to a seance? Have you ever played with a Ouija board?
Yes, I have.
Oh, no.
What happened?
Why would you do that?
What happened?
Not terribly much at all.
Yeah.
Where we were, the people that I was doing it with were definitely a bit like Kelsey and did not believe, and so nothing really happened. But I also have a website called Psychic Sue where I answer questions.
What? We didn't know this.
No.
What?
Hang
on.
Sorry? Excuse me?
Like an onion. It's like an onion, just another level to Granny Sue.
She is a fascinating onion.
What do you mean?
Come on, Granny Sue. God.
Let's go.
We've got all this stuff prepared for the man cave, and that's out the window now.
God.
I was talking to a friend of mine and she said, "You are very psychic." And I said, "Yes." I said, "Not as
You said,
psychic."
I knew you were going to say that.
No, I said, not as much as my mother was, because I could think of Mum and she'd ring without any effort at all. But so I started an online hotline question site, and people ring in and say, okay, I'm having trouble with this, this, and this. And I can sit for a couple of hours and visualize that person, even though I don't know them, and give them an answer which helps them get through their day.
What is the website?
Psychic Sue.
So can we ask you a question and you'll give us a psychic answer?
Is it the amazing Psychic Sue?
No, just Psychic Sue.
Oh. There's a lot of Psychic Sues out there, just saying.
Not necessarily, Luke. It depends on I can have a go.
Well, how come psychics? I don't know one psychic that's won the lottery.
Well, no, I've never. I have won quite a lot of money with using it, but I don't need the money, so I don't. Money's only there for the use. I don't need a lot of money.
Can you win some for me?
Yeah, can you win some for us?
No, it doesn't work that way.
Is a psychic the same as a clairvoyant?
Yeah, similar, very similar, but not psychic. More or less delve into the unnatural, where clairvoyants, they're more, I can't really explain it. That's a bit hard. Probably very similar, sort of, yeah.
Sue, I cannot find your website for the bloody life of me.
I don't do it much anymore because I had a lot of people calling in. They were, these people that aren't very nice on the internet, so I sort of stopped doing it. I'll find a picture and send it to you, Kelsey.
Yes, please.
I had a lot of trolls on there that really give me a pretty hard time. A lot of people that don't believe and would really upset the people that I was talking to. I had a policeman call in with, he was having a lot of trouble with somebody that he'd had to arrest and ended up killing himself, and he wanted to be able to deal with it, and I could help him through all that stuff.
Have you ever been asked by the police to find a missing person?
No.
Do you reckon you could?
I don't know. Never thought about it.
What's the craziest person or reading that you've done?
I would say it's a young girl that was being molested by her brother, and she needed help to get through it, and she didn't want to talk to people that would know her story. She wanted someone that completely outside her area and could help her. And she and I eventually got him charged. But
that's amazing.
She had a lot of stuff to go through before she could even get to that stage. Because he was her brother, she didn't want to hurt him. She didn't want to do all this, but she knew she had to. And to be able to help her get through all that stuff that she had to go through, to be able to do that was probably the hardest one, I'd say. Yeah.
Damn.
We need to get, when we go live on YouTube down the track, and it'll probably be a man cave that we'll go live with. We need Granny Sue on to take calls.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a whole segment in itself.
Oh, goodness me.
We'll put the whole
Now
band back together live.
I've started something now, haven't I?
You learn something new every day, Granny Sue.
I thought we knew you.
Unbelievable.
Well, no,
Unbelievable.
probably a lot of things about me you still don't know. And eventually you get...
Leave that for another layer of the onion that is Granny Sue. We'll do that.
Yeah.
We will slowly over time unpeel you if you'll.
Did you have to use that analogy?
I'm using the onion analogy.
Yeah.
Jesus,
It worked better. It worked better when Adam did it.
Dear. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's part of my life and it's part of who I am, so I'm not afraid to talk about any of it.
Granny Sue, just jump on this part of the conversation that we were having earlier, and I want to know Adam's thoughts too. Should it be illegal to burn the Australian flag? An Australian flag was burnt on Australia Day by one of the Invasion Day protesters. It's not illegal at the moment, but should it be? Who wants to go first? I'll go. Granny Sue, you're fired up. Go.
Yes, definitely. It is part of our culture. It is part of our way of life. It is what people have died under. And yes, it is something that we all should look after and revere because it is us. It's Australia.
Adam, I was saying to Kelsey and Thomas earlier, it is a federal offence punishable by up to 2 years jail and a $5,000 fine to deface or destroy Australian currency. But it's not illegal to destroy the flag. Can you compare the two, Adam? What are your thoughts on burning the Australian flag? Does it hamper freedom of speech, or is it a bit like defacing a war memorial.
Oh, that's
kind of. I think it should be illegal to burn any flag, not just ours. I think it's disrespectful for, your forefathers. Like Granny said, people who've fought and died under that flag, for us to have the country that we live in, the freedoms and the way of life that we have. But I don't think it should be just the Australian flag. I think it should be illegal to burn any flag whatsoever.
Well, I'm dying to know what our listeners think. And just while we've got Granny Sue here, because I have no idea where she's going to go on this, but Granny Sue, and
Yes.
Thomas, you'd know this, but Adam, I don't know whether you or Kelsey know it, but Granny Sue actually had a pet dingo in another life.
Oh, yeah.
Should dingoes be culled on Kagari? Or
No.
Well, the dingoes, they say, are out of control because they're protected. There's too many. They say the same thing about sharks. But let's get to dingoes, Granny Sue, because you raised a dingo. Should the dingoes on Gari, on formerly Fraser Island, should they be culled?
No, definitely not. It is what people have done. If those people, those tourists that have gone out there, had stopped feeding them and stopped being half smart with the dingoes and left them alone, none of this would have happened. It's a people problem, not a dingo problem.
What's it like raising a dingo? What sort of pets do they make? I've been told by Dr. Rob, don't raise a pet dingo. By the way, it's illegal.
Well, you need the space for them as well.
Well, they can turn, I've been told. But Granny Sue, tell us about your pet dingo.
My father found him up a whole log when he shot the mother just because the mother was killing our calves. And he brought the dingo pup home to me, and I just thought, oh, it's this dog, and we'll treat it like a dog. But their urge to kill is so engraved in them that there's no way you can leave them off the chain. You can't leave them alone, and you cannot trust them with anybody. I didn't trust him with me even. I eventually gave him to a wildlife park because I couldn't trust him, and I hated the thought of him being on a chain all the time because I couldn't trust him off the chain. I mean, even if I was there, you couldn't leave him for 5 seconds to walk inside to go to the toilet because he would have something down, whether it's a person or an animal. He could not help himself. That was just the way it was.
Then why'd you keep him? Like, what about him made you want to keep him around?
Well, because they are the most beautiful dogs, and I just thought if he's brought up properly like a normal dog, he would be okay, but no.
Nothing will boil my blood faster than seeing tourists feed wildlife right next to signs that say do not feed wildlife.
At Manly, there's big signs, don't feed the seagulls. But what does everyone do? And they're just massive pests, rats with wings.
Well, that's why, because they've got used to people feeding them. So of course they're going to have a go. They're not stupid.
Yeah. They're smart.
Is raising a dingo a bit like raising a tiger or a lion? You think, oh, it's a cub. It's cute. It's little. It'll grow up to be domesticated.
And then the primal instincts will always be there, and you might get a year or two when it's pleasant and tame and domesticated, but it's going to eventually just snap back to its primal roots and rip your head off. So,
do you know one of the worst offenders, Adam? I was watching a doco on this. Is in America, people who have enough money, like Michael Jackson, they want chimpanzees.
Why?
Because
So
they're cute.
weird.
And chimps, when they're little, yes, they do look baby-like, and they dress them up. And when a chimp gets to about 9, it turns. And it's like Dr. Jekyll, it becomes Mr. Hyde. And there was a case in America not so long ago where it actually ripped this woman's arm off, her hand off, ate her fingers, and
They
then
do a lot of damage.
ripped into her face and pulled her face off.
Okay. At the moment, there is a movie on the theatres called Primate, which is exactly that thing. They rear this baby chimp, and he ends up turning on them. And it's called Primate, and it's in the theatres at the moment.
What animal would you have if it was like okay to have one? I know what I would have. It's a tie between two. One, an otter. They're so cute. Sorry.
Language, YouTube. We're going to get banned from YouTube now.
They're so fudging cute. The other one would be a sloth. Have you seen baby otters? They're so freaking cute.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think there are some animals that shouldn't be domesticated. Like, I don't get the appeal why people want to have snakes because they're intended to kill you.
I don't like reptiles.
Trouser snake.
Yeah, well, you can't tame them. When I was in Zimbabwe on holiday,
You were in
Sure.
Zimbabwe on holidays. Go on.
I was going for a bath in the morning, and in the bath was a little tiny feather-tailed possum, which had fallen out of the thatched roof. Now, I kept that thing with me until I had to fly home. And, of course, by then it was growing up and I just let it go. Yeah.
They're so cute. I'm looking at a photo of it now.
Oh, they are.
I think if I could have any pet that you're not really supposed to have, I would have an octopus.
No.
Really?
Why?
They're very smart.
No.
Apparently,
I
yeah.
can get behind that.
They're the most amazing creature on the planet. Make no mistake.
Nah.
The smarts, the way they
Chesterfield.
change, the way they move.
What is it
Gonna be an
about men
octopus.
where you want like
Closely
slithery animals?
Closely followed by a hippopotamus.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Birds of a feather flock together.
I raised a kangaroo when I lived in Bathurst. I lived on a farm.
Yeah.
Oh, that a kangaroo rat.
And a lady came into the radio station with a potato sack and she said, we had to shoot this kangaroo. It had impaled itself on our fence. It was beyond saving, so my husband shot it, but we found this joey in its pouch. Do you want to put an announcement on the radio, see if someone wants to take it? And I said,
You're going to get
I'll
some
take it.
weirdos.
I took it. And it was a little female.
Oh, I don't trust you raising a kangaroo.
Let me finish here,
Okay.
Smarty. Let me just finish here, okay? This is where you let yourself down, Kelsey. You just assume the worst. So anyway, and we called her Kelly, and she was a little grey, Granny Sue, a little female. And so I rang Western Plains Zoo and I asked for advice, and they said little kangaroos scour easily. So get some low lactose baby formula and put some ash from your fireplace in it so it goes light grey and feed it on the bottle. And we did, and then it got turned to grey. It followed us everywhere. They don't go, sorry, what's that, Skip? Oh, Sonny's down the bottom of a hole. Oh, we better go. No, they don't do that. They blink like a little goat. They go,
Yeah, that's so cute.
and she followed us everywhere. With that little sack, we put it on a butcher's hook in the lounge room, and she would dive up into it and do a little turn and sleep in her sack. Then I had to leave that house, so it was too tame. 12 months down the track, way too tame. We couldn't just let her go. She would have been killed. So I drove her out to Western Plains Zoo, and they put her in the petting zoo for little kids to play. So I had a kangaroo for 12 months.
Oh, I want a kangaroo. Kangaroo
That's
rats
awesome.
are so cute as well. They're like little mouses,
I've
but
read
cuter.
a couple of kangaroo rats.
They're so freaking cute.
If I had the space for one, because I need a lot of space, I'd have an elephant.
No, why?
Because they are majestic.
Because he's always addressing the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
Now
true.
he wants one.
There's something about them, like they know when a volcano or
So
a
do
storm
birds.
is coming before
do.
people do.
Dogs do.
Yeah. They're
You know,
very clever.
Dr. Rob Zammit was telling us a story ages ago about a cat that was a resident at an old folks' home, and it always slept on the bed of someone who was about to pass away.
Yeah.
It knew, and it would
knew.
comfort them. And it
But
would,
also, that's scary. That's supernatural because, like, just imagine if you thought you were all good and the cat starts walking into your room. You'd be like, freaking out.
you'd shut the door, say, get out.
Yeah, not my time yet.
You'd kick it out.
I'm not done yet.
You might have 9, I've only got
Not today,
1.
Josephine.
I can't believe none of you want a baby otter. They're so freaking cute.
So, Granny Sue, thank you so much. What? I was about to say for your presence. Woohoo. Thank you so much for your time today. You are a fascinating onion, and we will continue to unpeel those interesting layers as the year goes on. Thank you so much on behalf of me and the rest of the band.
That's all right. Anytime at all. It's interesting to let someone else delve a little bit into my weird and wonderful life. So
we love you, Granny Sue.
We love you, Granny Sue.
Yeah, I love you too. And then thanks. Good to hear you again, Thomas, and you too, Adam.
Good to hear
it's
from you too.
a long time.
Now, that's been like Granny. Look after yourself.
We're going to have to rename Thomas instead of the tank engine. Thomas the ghost train.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Not the Luna Park ghost train. That's another story. Tragic.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on fire,
Anyway.
Luke.
Love you, Granny Sue.
Love you, Granny Sue.
All right. See you later.
Bye, Granny Sue.
Bye.
Adam McDonald, just before I let you go, Vice Captain, big news in your world this week. A baggy green cap worn by Sir Donald Bradman in a series against India, 1947-48, it was sold. for a record price. Take us through it.
So this was the Don's last test, and after the test, he would have swapped caps with an Indian player. They were playing against India, and the Indian player took the cap home and kept it with his family for this long. So what they did, they kept it in in a wooden box, no sunlight, and the family were literally allowed to look at it for a couple of minutes once a year. Wow. So this was under strictly lock and key. So they knew. You know, even back then, players who were playing against the Don knew what kind of a special player he was, you know. The legend was already born, the legend was already living, and the legend was going to live on. So, the cap went up for sale, and it reached just a ridiculous amount of money. I mean...
Wait, can I guess how much?
Yeah, go on.
Because I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
For a cap. For a
guess,
baggy green cap.
Yeah. Remember, it's the Don.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She doesn't... Please, Adam, she doesn't know who Don Bradman was.
Oh, that name sounds familiar.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, go on, Kelsey.
$2 million.
No.
More or less.
Less.
No.
Oh, see?
Less.
I praise it more than you guys. 850,000.
He didn't even know who Don Bradman was.
850,000.
No, not even on the same pitch.
How much was it?
It was 460,000.
Oh, so is that a lot?
It's nearly $500,000 for a cap.
True.
But it is Don Bradman.
That's the hammer price. So there's a buyer's premium on top of that. So you got to remember Shane Warne's cap. What did Shane Warne's cap remember itself for? Remember?
No.
When he fight,
Yep, that's the one.
he doffed his cap to the crowd on his last test appearance, and then bowed.
That's right. But you got to remember this was for charity, so charity auctions always get a little bit more. But Shane's cap sold for $1 million.
Wow.
I would prefer the Dons.
So what you've got to remember in this sort of sporting memorabilia game, it's all about living memory. So there's no one around today that saw the Don play. You can watch footage of him, read books about him, and that sort of and look at his test scores, but. No one was sitting at the SCG watching him score that 100. So there's no nostalgia to it. There's no living memory. The big money is within living memory. Like I bang on about it all the time. It's the 40-year itch. All those collectibles that people had when they were kids and when they were like 10, 11, 12, and they're now 50 and 60 years old. They've got a bit of money behind them. They want to buy them back. They want to buy their youth. And it's just about, everything's about living memory with this game.
Okay, I've got a question for you, Vice Captain. I was online and these things pop up. And I know why, because I was looking up Michael Jordan signed memorabilia because we're redoing the Man Cave. No, I've got no hope.
No.
I've got no hope. But so because I did that, the algorithm is now popping me up sporting memorabilia. And the Australia English Ashes Tour recently, 25-26, there is a signed cricket bat. The whole team has signed it and their signatures are either side of the bat. It's framed, it's in glass. It looks fantastic. Every Australian player's signature is on it. And it is part of Cricket Australia memorabilia. And it's got Providence, it's not Providence, it's got authenticity, thank you. Guess how much they're asking, and there's a limited amount of them. I think there might be 100. I'm not sure, but it's limited edition.
Yeah. So the lower the number, the more it's going to be worth. You know, if it's one of 2,500, who cares? But if it's one of 100, it's going to be worth.
Well, I don't know how many there are, but I'll tell you what they were asking, and you tell me if you think it's fair. You ready?
Yep.
2,400.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean I don't think that's outrageous. But it's all going to be all about the limited edition numbers. With sports memorabilia, it's all about the COAs, the certificate of authenticity. If it doesn't come with that, do not touch it. I've come across so many Michael Jordan signed basketballs. But I tell you what, Luke, speaking about algorithms, I've been watching a lot of basketball algorithms on the old TikTok. And I'll tell you may not agree with me, but without Dennis Rodman, that bull side does not march as long as it did.
I would go along with that. That's another chat for another day. Maybe we can get Mark Barrett's on to talk about that. Dennis Rodman put some enormous grunt into that Chicago Bulls side, but they had Tony Kukoc as well, who really played well. Scottie Pippen, Michael. It was an amazing team. 6 rings. I mean, come on. But I think you're right. Dennis Rodman put enormous grunt into that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of
The
this.
Worm.
He's my favourite.
His nickname is The Worm. Well, last question, still on basketball. I watched
Yep.
I watched a documentary on how Nike nearly went broke, and by backing Jordan, they became absolutely world dominant in sneakers. The leading brand of basketball endorsed sneakers were Converse and Adidas. Nike were on their last $500,000 and they backed Jordan, and he was a rookie and he wasn't even a first round pick. Remember, he was a third round pick, but they backed, my God, the right horse. And they said, Michael, here's our new shoe. His mother convinced him to do it because he wanted to go to Adidas. And his mother said, I like these people because they're going to give you some skin in the company and residuals and a share of the profit. And no other shoe company did that for anyone. Not for Larry, not for Dr. J, not for Kareem, not for anyone who had a shoe deal. This was world-breaking deal. And they made a pair of shoes that were black, but with the red on them. And they called them the Air Jordans. And then for the first time, kids were lining up for these shoes, not to wear as sports trainers, to wear out, to be seen in these shoes.
Fashion.
An original pair of black and red Air Jordans for sale anywhere?
Nah. Oh, maybe. I'll look into it. I can get back to you next week, but you won't touch them. But Michael, I think I read somewhere the other day that Michael has every single pair that ever produced.
Yeah.
And he used to wear a different pair every game.
Yeah.
Every game, yeah.
Damn.
And he wore his North Carolina college shorts under his Bulls shorts for good luck.
Wow.
We should talk about sporting superstitions. Maybe we'll do that down the track.
Yeah.
But Mike, like Steve Waugh's red handkerchief.
Well, on Ted Lasso, you can't talk about streaks. They think that's a superstition.
I'm up to episode 3, season 1 of Ted Lasso because of your mum.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that later.
Yeah.
Vice Captain, what have you got?
Yes.
What have you got coming up?
What have I got coming up? I've got a really interesting ephemera sale coming up. I'm cataloguing today.
That's paper.
Very good, Kelsey.
That's correct, Kelsey.
She knows
you're
ephemera, but she doesn't know Don Bradman. Work that out. Keep going.
So this came from a bookshop in Canberra that's closed down, and it's got really early maps. So maps of Canberra street maps of Canberra where Canberra wasn't really built yet. We've got some really early court papers from, like, say, the court. You know, they'll put out a report of what happened in the court that day. And this is in Braidwood in 1879. So there's bushrangers and bloody gold theft and sheep rustling and stuff like that. I also came across this little medallion yesterday that was from the Yass Agricultural Show in 1879. And it was awarded to a fellow called Frederick Shepherd, and he won it for the best stallion of the day. So I did a bit of digging, and Frederick Shepherd, 2 years later, was arrested for cattle rustling while riding this award-winning stallion. So all these little bits of history and little bits of knowledge is going to be an absolutely fascinating sale, and especially for the people of Canberra, the local history will live on. It's great. It's just so interesting doing the research into this sort of stuff.
That would be interesting. You must feel like Sherlock Holmes almost.
It is. Like when I looked up, I put in, you just to go down the Google wormhole and just Frederick Shepherd, and then put the horse's name in, and then all this information came up about he was an award-winning. His horse was award-winning, but then he wrote it out while rustling cattle and sheep.
Damn.
It was great.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
I'm sure I'm going to come across some bushrangers, because around that time in Braidwood there was plenty of bushrangers out there. So I'm hoping to come across something interesting like that.
There's always something interesting happening. Well, that's been an interesting man cave today. Granny Sue, what about that, Thomas? What about that?
Wow. We didn't expect to hear that today, but we heard it here.
Well, she would have seen it coming, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just the way she just dropped it in the middle of the conversation.
I can't believe you guys never knew that.
Did you?
How long have you? No, I didn't. But like, you guys have known her for like
years. How many
years.
years have we had Granny Sue on, Thomas?
Oh, the whole time I've been on the night shift.
Never knew it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Never, ever knew it. Adam McDonald, thank you so much, Vice Captain. Always good to talk to you. Talk to you next week. Thomas the Tank Engine, or Casper the Friendly Ghost, or Thomas the Ghost Train. Thank you very much. Great to have you aboard the Bonafide podcast. And Millennial, I'll talk to you soon. Thought for the day? You ready? Do you know why it's a really good idea to date a homeless woman?
Why?
After the date, doesn't matter where you drop her off.
Oh.
See you later.
Is that going to make the cut? So thank you so much. Remember, enter the Nature Bee competition. Win yourself a holiday anywhere in the world to the value of $20,000. Make your Nature Bee purchase right now online, naturebee.com, and your body will thank you for it.
Absolutely. And Luke, what is the thought of the day?
Thought for the day. I was thinking this the other day.
Yes.
If unicorns really existed,
Yeah.
I bet they'd be Australian. And that horn would be highly venomous.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. I reckon that's probably one of the best you've had.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And a quick reminder, Power Bee from Nature Bee, the full meal replacement. Power pollen, beautiful chocolate flavour, and if you spend over $79.90, and basically 2 intro packs for you and a friend, and then you're in the running to win a $20,000 bucket list travel experience of a lifetime. That competition ends Friday, January 30, so don't let it slip. Head to naturebee.com